Welcome, everyone, to the Islanders Never Say Die podcast. I'm your host, TJ, and with me here, as always, is our NHL analyst and expert, the grumpy old man. They say there's no shame to his game because he's always the same.
That's me.
Grumpy, ooh,
Okay.
buddy, coming to you on a Saturday evening after the Florida Panthers game. Islanders lose in overtime to the Florida Panthers. We're going to be covering that, what we've seen here under Patrick Waugh as head coach, what we've seen from this Islanders team. We're going to discuss some of that. But before we jump in to those discussions, we do have a few housekeeping items to take care of. If you're new to the channel, and you happen to stumble across this amazing Islander podcast, and you like the content that we put out, make sure to do a few things. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube so you don't miss out on any of our future videos, right? You get a notification, a little ding notification bell anytime we go live. So make sure you subscribe on YouTube. And also, if you like the content, leave a thumbs up. Apparently that lets us know, number one, that you like the content that we're putting out. And also it helps the algorithm. So make sure to do those two things. Make sure to subscribe and make sure to hit the like button. We also do have a secondary podcast. It is an all sports podcast called TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. Now that show, we talk anything and everything sports on it. We talk NHL, we talk NFL, we talk NBA, we talk MLB, we talk world football, we talk college athletics. We talk literally anything and everything sports on that show. It's called TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. You could find that in the link in the description below or as a featured page here on our YouTube channel. And myself, the Grumpy Old Man, and the magnificent Son X just shooting the shit, having a good time, and talking sports. Again, if you go to our YouTube page, you can find it there. As you scroll down, you can see, check out our other podcast, and there you can see it, TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. So make sure to give that a little listen and look too. But Grump, we're coming live here after the Islanders lost tonight in overtime to the Florida Panthers. Initial reactions after the loss, Grump.
I'm just thinking big picture. I mean, we didn't deserve to win today. But if you think big picture, and if you watch this game, again, another team playing 3 games in 4 nights, second half of a back-to-back, second night in overtime.
And on the road, might I add.
And
both
on the
games
road, right. They've all been on the road, all these back-to-backs. They've all been on the road. And if you can realistically say, after what we saw from this team tonight, that this is a team that can contend for anything really, I think you're just deluding yourselves. For me, I thought we were okay in the first period. Matter of fact, we might even carried the play. It was more 50-50 from the second period on. Florida just carried the play. I think we had, I don't know how many, TJ, did you look up how many shots we had in the third period in overtime?
I don't have it, but I can get it for you in a second.
Okay. Yeah, if you could, because the Islanders only had 1 shot in the second half of the second period, was the Holmstrom goal. And I think they only had like 4 shots in the third period in overtime, including the goal on an absolutely splendid pass from Noah Dobson. But there were positives tonight. I thought the third line was by far the best line for the Islanders tonight, which was Pajot with Wallstrom and Holmstrom. I thought that was the best line. I don't even think the fourth line even played. I couldn't even remember seeing them. The second line has been invisible, just invisible.
So to give you an update on the question you had asked, in the third period, we registered 7 shots on goal. Overtime, we had 1 shot on net. Tonight was just right. We talked about, hey, how do we make sure we limit shot opportunity? Go ahead, Trump.
And I thought Varlamov was sensational, kept us in the game. Absolutely.
Yeah, here's the thing. And he gave up 3 goals tonight. But guess what? It's not Varlamov's reason tonight, the reason why we lost. Just like when we've been losing games earlier, it hasn't been Sorokin as the reason we've been losing games. Varley's been back for 2 games, and he's given up 3 goals in both of those games. Uh-oh, better watch out, Varley. Guess what? The reason we're losing games is not due to goaltending. Our goaltending has been amazing this season. Our goaltending has been top-notch in the NHL this year. Tonight, think about it. We have done a good job, I think, of limiting a few opportunities and shots on net in the prior few games. And tonight, it was, for me, a little disappointing that Florida comes to your building, to your arena, and they're on the third game in 4 days, and we're in a spot to where they carried action in the second and the third period, I thought. And I was like, I was expecting a little more from the Islanders, seeming that they were more rested than the Florida Panthers. I was a little upset about that.
I'm not surprised. Florida's better than we are. Florida's one of the best teams in the NHL. Again, we don't match up with good teams. I mean, the fact that it was 3 games, and these have been grinder games for Florida. I watched the Panthers broadcast, and I mean, they've been going through some grinds. They had a warfare with Pittsburgh last night.
Yep.
And it's like, I'm not surprised. Florida's a team that's aggressive on the forecheck, has team speed. Those are teams that give us problems. And it's funny, they mentioned something where you saw our defensemen are really split wide, which means that guys can walk right down the center of the ice. You would think Parise, being the genius of a coach that he's supposed to be, would have already addressed that issue, but I guess not. That being said, with the Islanders having, a week and a half off now, or a week and a little bit more, you would expect some of those things to be ironed out. I know that they're probably not going to practice, but there's going to have to be some type of conversations with the players, I think, even if they're off.
How much ironing out do you really think there can be done? That's the one thing. I'm just right. This is the thing I've always. This is the real discussion, right? You bring in a new coach during the season, and you fire your old coach. Why do you do that? You're looking for immediate results, right? That's why you fire Lane Lambert in season, and you bring in a new guy because you're looking for results. Would you agree with me on that?
Sometimes it takes a little while.
No. You're looking for results. Why would you fire a guy? 4 or 5 games before the All-Star break if you were not looking for results from your team.
Okay, but you realize a new guy comes in, you can only do so much. I mean, they haven't he had a practice today, whatever. But I mean, to implement new structure, I think it's just hard to do it in season. I just think it's difficult. Edmonton had the same issue earlier in the year where it took them a while to buy into whatever their new coach is talking about. They've won, I think, 14 games in a row now. We're not winning 14 games in a row ever.
16. It's 16.
16. Okay, 16. We're not winning 16 games in a row ever. I mean, but you remember, as soon as he came in as coach, there really wasn't much change for a while. They've absolutely ramped it and picked up. But the way I'm looking at it, the way the Islanders are playing, the way their defense is structured, it's really not any different than when Lane was here. The one thing I think Patty Watt is seeing, hey, that third line looked good. Bam, bam, bam. You're seeing them every other shift out there. And they deserved it. I thought they played really, really well today, that third line. It was our best line.
I've got to interrupt you because what you're saying about Edmonton is just wrong. Okay. Edmonton, under their new coach, is 25-6. They did not have a struggle point. Edmonton is not.
They won 16 in a row. They were 9-6.
So 16 in a row. They were 5-5 to start.
Okay, well that's what I'm saying.
I wouldn't call that struggling.
Okay,
5-5 was average.
You said immediate results. 5-5 is not immediate results. 5-5 is 500 hockey. That's not immediate results. That means they stuck a little bit until this guy, whatever he was teaching, kicked in.
So what, you giving it 10 games? 10 games I need to start seeing results by? The question I'm going to ask before you interrupt is, how long before we expect to see the results on the ice? I was trying to build up. You fire a guy in season, you bring in a new coach, you're expecting immediate results. How quickly are you expecting those results?
2027 is the next time that this team has a legitimate shot of being anything.
Not what I asked.
Okay, I don't know. I just think we are what we are. I don't care who the coach is. Players aren't good enough. You got Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. Well, you know what? The team's going to be a little bit better because they have players like that. We don't have anybody like that. I mean, look at this team. How many players on this team could even play on Edmonton and be productive? 3?
Grump, what I'm asking here is this. They brought in a new coach. The GM is expecting results. Maybe you aren't, and I'm not, And
He
all the
can't.
realistic fans are not. Listen, please listen before you start just deviating away. They're expecting results. How long before you think the fan base, and how long before you think ownership and the general manager's like, oops, we're not seeing the results. We were expecting it by this time period. How quick do we need to see results?
Fan base was booing tonight. The fan base was booing tonight at the end of first and second periods. So I guess 0, because they're already booing. There's nothing Patty Watt can do with this team. Nothing. I don't care. The players are not good enough. You cannot implement a style. That's why I said Lane Lambert was not the issue with this team. I keep saying that and nobody wants to hear it. They want to think the magical coach button is going to fix it. The GM fires the coach to take pressure off himself. Everything on this team that's wrong with it is on the general manager. Everything. Every single thing. The coach can do nothing. I don't care who the coach is. Al Arbor, Scotty Bowman, whoever, Joel Quenneville, it doesn't matter. These guys are not good enough. What did I see that I liked today? Patty Waugh rolled with that third line with a couple of younger guys on it and Pajot, and you know what? They produced. Maybe he's going to say, screw it. I'm going to phase out the old guys up for ice time. That's, to me, even if we don't win, that's a move in the right direction. Because the older players on this team aren't worth shit. They're just not. It's over for them. The second line has been invisible. Pierre Engvall, again, today, takes a really a dumb penalty. I mean, how long before he finds his way to the bench? I mean, I'm sorry. And here's the thing. What can Patty Waugh do? Look at how many guys got no move clauses, no trade clauses. It's not like you say, hey, I want to get rid of this guy. I want to get rid of this guy. He doesn't fit. They're stuck with them. That's all on the GM, all of it.
I don't disagree. I agree that the team is not good enough as currently constituted. The change the coach button does not affect. I'm wondering, Grumpy, how long before you start to see I didn't know. I guess I wasn't listening close enough to the Boo Birds out tonight. How long before you start to see the sentiment change and the tides change where they say, uh-oh, it wasn't on Lane. Uh-oh, it was actually on that general manager, Lou Lamoriello.
No one's going to say the general manager. No one is.
No one.
Because they believe in him. But the Lamanites believe in him. It doesn't matter what he does.
If we don't see a new coach bounce and we don't start seeing results, you think that people are just going to blindly say, well, even though we're still losing games, we're not going to blame the brand new head coach. Who are we blaming? They blame they blame the players by proxy. That's blaming the general manager.
How many people are saying Lamoriello has to go besides us on this show? How many? He's got a whole loyal fan base of freaking Lamanites. They earn that name. They think he can do nothing wrong.
They're growing. They're growing.
Well, you know what? End of the year, maybe he steps down and Patty Waugh moves up. That's my hope. That is my hope. You know, you can roll your eyes all you want.
Can we bring it back? Can we bring it back?
That is, you asked me a question. You keep on saying, when can we expect the team to get the bump? I don't think we're getting a bump.
Not when they get the bump. I want to know when you start to see the sentiment of the fan base.
You already saw it. You saw it tonight. You saw it tonight. It's already here. I told you already. It's already here.
You think the fan base is already ready to hang up somebody by
they're booing already.
The pitchforks and to burn the building down again already? You think they're
booing already? They're booing already. They're booed at the end of the first and at the end of the second period. They booed them. Absolutely, they did. So they're already fed up. And again, Florida's a good team, without a doubt. 3 straight games. Was it 3 straight games now? We played teams on the back end of a back-to-back and 3 out of 4. 3 straight games.
Three out of our last 4 opponents. Montreal, they did not play 3 and 4, but we played Vegas, who played 3 and 4.
Montreal was a back-to-back, though.
Okay,
Montreal was back-to-back.
Montreal didn't play 3 games in 4 days. You said
but they were back-to-back also, right?
No, they were not.
Okay.
I'm just telling you, we played 3 different teams in the last 3 of our last 4 opponents had played 3 on the tail end of playing 3 games in 4 nights. The Canadians did not. I'll pull up what their schedule looked like, but they did not play the back-to-back rump. They played the Islanders on Thursday, and they played the Senators before on Tuesday. So again, not the Canadians, as I mentioned, but they played The Islanders have played three of their last 4 opponents. They've played 3 games in 4 days, and the Islanders are playing them on their 3rd game in 4 days. That was the Vegas Golden Knights, the Florida Panthers, and the Dallas Stars.
All right, let's throw out the Montreal game. Montreal's not making playoffs. Those 3 teams are making playoffs.
Yes.
And we couldn't beat them after they played 3-on-4. Home games. Home games.
We did end up with a 1-1-1 record, though.
Home games.
That's correct.
Home games.
Yeah.
If you're just playing every other night, we get swept by all those teams. We're just not good enough. Today, we were lucky. We were a great Noah Dobson pass to Kyle Palmieri for a fantastic one-timer to get the loser point. That's it. I mean, I can't tell you when ownership is going to have enough. The GM knows. Believe me, he knows. When you've had 3 new coaches in 2.5 years now? Or is it 2.5 years? Or just a year and a half?
Whatever it is, 2.5.
Okay,
no,
he's had 3 coaches. He's had 3 coaches in 2 years. 3 coaches in 2 years. He knows. He knows. Just blow it up. But what does he do? He keeps on doubling down. He should have been fired 2 years ago. He should have been fired last year. We've talked about it on this show. They just, we believe in this core. We believe in this core. What do you believe? What's there to believe in? I'm sorry. I can't. I'm not a Lamanite. I'm not one of them. I'm not going to lie to you. People come to this show for the truth. The truth. I only speak the truth here. I'm not here to make you feel good. I'm going to give you the truth. Silver linings. What's the silver lining? Maybe the old man's out and Patty Watt takes over as GM. That's it. That's the only thing that can make this team better in the immediate future. You need to have a fresh set of eyes, which Patty Watt is, to come in, to run the show, to get rid of the cul-de-sac crew. Because as long as he's there and control of the roster, nothing will change, and it'll just get worse. That's it. Those are facts.
I'm going to get back, I guess, to what I did.
But there is good news. I want to say good news.
Oh, wow.
Phil will absolutely be off Twitter by the end of the season. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. Book it. Get your tweets in now, Phil. It's over.
So the Islanders not making postseason. Is that where we're leaving it right now?
I never thought they were making a postseason. Never. Never freaking ever.
I don't know how the general manager keeps his job if they don't make the postseason, where if you make the postseason once out of the last 3 years, and, one of those years was Stanley Cup or bust. I don't know how you keep a job. I don't know. It's interesting. I think you've got to give Patrick Waugh time. I think that, right? I'm not trying to rush to it, but I'm just saying I will be curious as to when the sentiment from the fan base, because that's who we're talking to.
They're already booing. They're already booing. You're not
letting me listen. You're not even letting me finish.
Dude, how many times are you going to ask the same question? I'm
not asking the same fucking question. You want to go monologue some more? Jesus Christ. Now sit there and watch the TV. Come on.
You're ridiculous.
Here's the thing. I'm wondering when they're going to say, yeah, it wasn't the coach, it was the players. Wasn't the coach, it was the players.
Fans aren't going to admit that. Why would they admit that? Fans aren't going to admit that. Fans admit that they're wrong. What are you, crazy? How long have you been doing this show? Since when does a fan ever admit that they're wrong?
Paying attention?
When do fans admit that they're wrong?
They do.
Fans never admit they're wrong.
They
Fans
do.
never admit they're wrong.
They do.
They don't.
They do. They do. Grumpy, even head Lamanites admit when they're wrong.
No, they
Phil's
don't.
facts. Stop and listen for a second. Phil's facts. Just after Pierre Engvall had a miserable turnover to lose the Islanders the game in regulation, stated that his favorite boy, the buzzsaw that was the second line, a fantastic signing that we had to have, great trade by Lou Lamoriello, Pierre Engvall needs to be benched. Is that not changing his mind, Grumpy?
No.
Okay, the guy that he was adamant. That doesn't change his mind. No,
absolutely not. Because you know what? If Pierre Engvall scores 2 goals, he'll be right back on that horse again. And it's one thing to say you're wrong about a player, but about direction of the team, have you heard any of the Lamanites say that the direction of the team is incorrect? Any of them? They're not. It's so obvious that it's over with this group. If you don't see it, you're a fucking moron. I'll just put it like that. And here's the thing. They don't care about the fan base. Do you think ownership cares about the fan base? As long as they got those season tickets, that's all they care about.
If the fan base is not coming to games, yeah, they care about that.
Well, they'll show up because the team will be scuffling around 8th, 9th, 10th place in the conference. That's all they want. Just keep us in the hunt so that people keep showing up.
Think about it. Saturday night game. There are quite a bit of empty seats in the stands again. Our attendance this year has been woeful at best. I don't know. I think the paying customer, when they don't show up, that speaks to ownership because they're there to make a profit. So I do think that matters. That's why I'm asking. When do you think that changes for the fans?
I don't think the fans ever change their minds totally. They just don't. They don't.
I have positivity and optimism that they can change their mind. You guys don't.
Absolutely.
I think people can. I think people
put up a comment.
Conversations. I think people with rational conversations can prove.
I want you to pull up a comment at 10:52 from Thomas Weimer. Pull that comment up because I want to go off on this fucking asshole. Pull it up.
Oh my God, Grumpy.
Pull it up. This guy's the biggest fucking loot. Pull it up.
I don't know. 10:52. Here you go.
10:52. There we go. No hate. Love the fellow Islander fans, but these guys are a joke. The Islanders pre-Lou are a circus. Anyone 30 or younger has no clue. Here's the thing. This fucking dipshit knows nothing about the sport. You're thinking, oh, well, guess what? Lou got us to where? Nowhere. Because you know what? He's living in I told you, he's the fan that I've been talking about. He's used to the team being such a loser that just being a 500 team is great to him. You know what? Root for another team, bro. If you think that rooting for the Islanders to be mediocre is what we should do, I don't want you as an Islander fan. You know something? Here's the thing. I want Stanley Cups. I was there for Stanley Cup championships. This team is a joke. You say we're a joke? This team is a joke. We play backup goalies every night. You want to know why? They don't need to start their regulars against us. We can't keep up with team speed. Randy Moeller today, the first penalty that the Islanders drew, he says, I fell out of bed harder than that guy went down today. How many Islanders are going to flop in the zone to try to draw penalties? We grab sticks and we fall down. That's an Islander specialty, right? That's what we like to do. You want to know what teams that do that? Teams that are not good enough to beat good teams, period. Thomas, I hate to single you out, but you call me a joke, fuck you, I'm going at you. I'll just put it to you that way. Okay.
I'm fired up. I will say this, at least about it's
tell me which
fallacy.
I want to ask this, tell me which teams in the Eastern Conference we're going to beat out. That's a question I'd have for him.
Thomas, the fallacy that you're believing is because we've had poor management and poor ownership and poor general manager selections in the past, that's the only thing that's the possible future for the Islanders. It's not. Us continuing to hold on to Lou Lamoriello is exactly that. Lou Lamoriello served his purpose to bring back respectability to the Islanders' name. The longer he's here, the further and further you will see the Islanders sink into a freaking hole that is going to take years to get back to mediocrity and then maybe to a real Stanley Cup contender because of all what Lou Lamoriello did. And guess what? Once he leaves, it won't be the next general manager's fault as to why we struggle. It's going to be Lou's fault. It's because we haven't had a first-round pick in 4 years in a row. It's because he trades away any sort of prospect that has any sort of value because he needs to double down on a team to make a Stanley Cup run and get bounced in 6 games in the first round of the playoffs to the Carolina Hurricanes. That's why. You know, just because we've struggled before in the past doesn't mean that we're going to struggle consistently or we're going to miss on every single general manager or head coaching hire in the future with a legitimate ownership group.
We have 10 players on this team who have some type of trade protection. 10 players on this team.
Modified no trade clauses, full no trade clauses, no move clauses, modified no move clauses. Yep.
10 guys. It'll be 11 next year when Sorokin's kicks in. 11 guys out of how many guys we put on the ice tonight? 21. Over half our team, it's almost impossible to move. That's on the GM. You want to know what? Maybe we were a circus before, but at least we were entertaining. Now we're just, you know what? This is what the Devils were like at the end of his tenure. This is exactly what the Devils were like. Talk to Devils fans and see what they think about his last number of years. How many years was he in Toronto? It was a year and a half, and they said, Kick that old man upstairs. He's fucking up the whole show. They kicked him upstairs. He had nothing to do with Toronto. Is Toronto a model franchise? No, they're not. But you know what he wasn't allowed to do? Lock everybody up, not lock up 30 and 40-year-olds to long-term deals with no trade clauses. It's not even like the guys that he's signed are great. Again, my motto is, if a guy's 30 years old, you let him walk. Give him 2-3-year deals. That's it. Forget no trade, no move. If he wants to go somewhere else, see you later. But he's going to be held responsible for performance in another organization. Not here, but another organization. We lost today, and we deserve to lose against a team that was running on fumes, absolute fumes. And they dominated us the second half of the game. Dominated us. Absolutely dominated us. I was getting ready to give a speech how Florida has learned how to handle a lead. They learned how, like Tampa had to learn how to handle lead. And then Noah Dobson, just with some individual brilliance on that pass, gets the goal for them. But what do? They come out and just dominate in overtime and honestly get the goal that they deserved. Varlamov was tremendous tonight. He was spectacular, kept us in the game. Our defensive structure is bad. It was bad. It's bad every night. Can Patty Waugh fix that? I don't think so. Mike Riley was starting today with Sebastian Aho as his partner. Boy, that's a great defense pairing.
A lot of defense was played there.
Terrible.
I'll tell you this here too. The effort level we've seen from the Islanders, I think, has been better. But as I've mentioned on our show on Wednesday, or our show on Wednesday as well, all of these guys are trying to make the best first impressions they can. All of these players have a brand new coach who controls their minutes, who controls the lineups, who controls the ice time. You're going to see the best effort from the New York Islanders right now.
But we're just not good enough.
Exactly. Here's the thing. We see the best. And tonight, what happens? We muster 20 shots on net, concede about 30-something shots, get hemmed up in our own zone. We conceded 36 shots?
36 shots.
Wow.
Again.
Wow. This is a team playing 3 games in 4 days on their third game on the road.
And they had 6 shots after the first period. 6. Think about that. 6. Maybe
and
7.
You're supposed to be a little bit more tired in the second and the third period. Hey, they were able to kick it in the drive and dominate us.
They dominated the second period. Then they got that goal, however much time, like maybe a little bit more than like 7 minutes into the third. And then they were just playing defense, like Tampa used to do. And I was like, man, look at them. They learned how to play defense. 2 years ago, Florida couldn't play defense. They score a shitload of goals, but they couldn't play any defense at all under Brunette. Just none. That was they lost Quinville and brought in Brunette. I mean, they lose those games.
I did want to bring this up. Okay.
They had their record this year is 20-0-4 when they score first. That's pretty good.
Yep. Hunter says here, Andrew Gross said today was the most intense practice he's seen as an NHL analyst. And then they came out half asleep tonight.
How many times we see that from this group? Here's the thing. What can Patrick Waugh do that can get the guys who are on 6-7 year contracts to produce? They're going to be here longer than he is. You can't move them. They can pick and choose if they want. They're just comfortable here. They like it here. They like playing on Long Island. They like playing in the beer league. They like living in the same cul-de-sac. They're all buddies. They're all friends. They're great guys. No denying that. But you know what? You're here to win hockey games. That's why you can't give out no trade clauses or no move clauses. It's just stupid. It handcuffs you. That's all it does.
Tell me, this is the worst case scenario. John Smith says here, I would anticipate Lou works the phones during this break. Could you imagine during the trade deadline or during the All-Star break, just like last year, we make another trade and give up more future assets to double down on this team's potential window?
I hate doing these shows right after a loss because I'm just so angry. It's just like, I just see it. I've seen it.
Think about this. Grumpy's ass before we get on the show is like, you got to be more positive. We need you to be more. I'm like, what the fuck is there to be positive about right now, Grump? As a fan, what is there to be positive about right now, Grumpy? Seriously.
Season's almost over. Season's almost over.
Besides The season's almost over. Besides the great play from young players like your Noah Dobsons taking a quantum leap step forward, besides, I think, the maturation of Matt Barzal, I mean, he looks everything of a leader if I've ever seen one. And Bo Horvat working completely perfectly in tandem with Matt Barzal. There's not really a lot to be excited about for this year.
You know what? Today, right, they had the most intense pressure ever. How many guys came out to play tonight?
No one.
Dobson, Barzal, Holmstrom, Wahlstrom, Pajot, Varlamov. Varlamov's a little bit older. What do every one of those other guys have? They're all younger players. All those other guys let their game on the practice ice. Anders Lee was invisible today. Just invisible. The second line, I saw Nelson a couple times. They tried to Holmstrom tried to spring him in overtime. You know, that big stretch pass. The only way we score in overtime. Hope another team falls asleep after dominating us in our defensive zone, and hopefully we get a breakaway. Did the fourth line even play tonight? I don't know. I saw Clutterbuck a couple times.
The third line looked okay.
I thought the third line was the best line. That's not saying much when you get 20 shots on goal in a game, and 8 of them come in like the last 5 minutes in an overtime. Was 7-1. I mean, one shot in the second period after the 10-minute mark. It was the goal by Holmstrom, but one shot. And believe me, it wasn't even that close. We would dominate. I knew Florida would win today. They're better than we are. Good teams beat us.
Did you really think that they were going to win even though they're playing? They just played in overtime the night before against Pittsburgh. You thought they were going to beat us today on home ice on alumni night? Fuck, think about this. Hardest practice Andrew Gross has ever seen as a hockey analyst and a commentator. Alumni night. Josh Bailey. A whole bunch of your old pals are in the room. A whole bunch of NHL. A whole bunch of Islander greats. A whole bunch of guys who've made a huge impact on this franchise for years come there. You get a little extra up on that. And you come out there and you play that fucking way tonight. I was shocked by that.
Well, maybe by the time, that we really was shit in the bed, those guys that had a little liquid lubricant, maybe they don't remember the rest of the game, so it didn't embarrass them too much. It's always nice to see, Trottier, Turgeon, LaFontaine, and Potvin here, though. Absolutely.
Think about this. As a player, that's the best effort you put out there in front of Hall of Fame and Islander greats.
They don't care.
Take some fucking respect in what you do in your craft and in your fucking profession.
They're just not good enough. They're just not good enough. They're not talented enough. You can't. Here's the thing. They're just not good enough. If they have to come back and play defense, that means they can't play any offense. That's why Lane was having guys fly the zone, trying to get some offensive opportunities. That was it in a nutshell. I mean, you don't want to do that? Well, you're not going to be scoring much. You might cut down on some goals, but you're not going to be scoring any. We're minus 23 in goal differential right now. Minus 23. Teams that are minus 23 do not make the playoffs. Sorry. Pittsburgh, 1 point behind. Devils, 1 point behind. And Pittsburgh has how many games in hand? I think 3. 3 games in hand, 1 point behind. The Devils, 2 games in hand, 1 point behind. Even shitty Washington is 1 point behind with 2 games in hand. I mean, the Red Wings are right now, we are 5 points out of a playoff spot. The only shot the Islanders have of making the playoffs, the only shot is if they get top 3 in the Metro Division.
We're 3 points out of the playoff spot, by the way. 3.
We're not. You're wrong.
Well,
Detroit won tonight. Detroit won tonight.
That's with their win. That's with their win included, my friend. They've got 55 points.
They're 5 points ahead. They're 5 points ahead with same amount of games. 5 points ahead.
I'm sorry. Mine hadn't refreshed. Okay, got you. You're right. 5 points ahead. My mistake.
I mean, the Penguins will pass us. Absolutely, no doubt in my mind. Penguins will pass. The Devils will pass us. The only caveat, maybe this thing with the Canadian junior thing, they lost 2 guys. Maybe that has a negative effect. I think it's absolutely affected the Flyers, who are in free fall right now. They've lost their last 5 games. Everyone knows I despise the Flyers. Their break can't come soon enough. I'm just going to say. Tortorella is going to have a job to do to keep them relevant in the second half.
Well, here's the thing. Even look at the Washington Capitals. They've lost 4 games in a row. They're 1 point behind us.
They suck.
We've lost 3 games in a row.
Yeah. 2-6-2.
I don't know what to say.
Lane's record was just as good as Patty was. It was never the coach. I kept telling everyone, it's not the coach. You can fire the coach if you want. It's not the coach. The only thing that I look positive with the hiring of Patty Waugh is he has had GM experience before in the juniors. That's it. That is it. If you go back into next season with Lamoriello as the GM and Patty Waugh as the head coach, just expect more of the same. Whoever comes in as the next GM is going to have a job to do just to unload some of these contracts.
The next GM is going to fail. Seriously, when you think about that too, when things get that bad, what self-respecting general manager would say, sign me up for that dumpster fire?
A guy who's been out of the league for 6 or 7 years or 8 years. Those are the type of guys that you get. That's what happens. If anybody looks at this franchise, no one in the minor. Who do we got in the minors coming up? No one. Well, I'm sure we got a bunch of expiring contracts. No, we signed them all to big, long extensions in their mid-30s because that's a smart thing to do. We believe in this with this group. How many years we hear that from him? What has this team ever won? I ask the question at least once a month. What has this team won? Have they won a division championship? Nope. Have they won a conference championship? Nope. Have they won the Stanley Cup? Nope. They never won anything. They won a couple of playoff rounds, and they got beat by a better team. That's it. And people think that's great. Oh, that's fantastic. Oh, we were 1 goal away from winning a Stanley Cup. If we could have beat Tampa, you're never beating Tampa. 1-0. Tampa scored 1 goal. I said, they can't score on us. We'll just play our game. Tampa's just that good. We're not that good. We were never that good. We had a chance to beat Tampa. After the first loss to Tampa, what should he have done? He should have made the changes to make the team better. Yeah, okay, we see what we need to do to beat a team like Tampa. What did he do? Nothing. We lose to them again in 7. What does he do in the offseason? Nothing. If you're not trying to upgrade your team, you're just going backwards. And that's what's happened with this team. Just has. Those just facts. Just spitting facts here.
Now, something I also want to, you're not wrong. We're not good enough. I think the only people who are entrenched in that viewpoint are the people who don't want to admit that there may be incorrect thought processes that they've built their idea behind this franchise on and behind this current team and iteration on. I will say this, another thing that, at least on social media, had made Islander fans very upset before tonight's game. Zach Parise, remember how many people on this show would ask us all the time, oh, well, things are going to be different once we get Zach Parise. Zach Parise is going to be a huge get when he comes back to the Islanders. We're going to sign Zach Parise. I know you are not entertained by the Zach Parise talk. You never have been. But the fans absolutely were heartbroken, upset. The amount of fans who are crying, bitching, and moaning about Zach Parise not signing back and saying, well, he told us that the New York Islanders in New York would be the only team he'd ever play for again, and he didn't choose us. What the hell? The amount of people who were upset. Matt Barzal made some comments as well. It's just like mind blown. He's a bottom 6 guy, a 39. What is he? 39 years old?
38, maybe 39, whatever.
38-year-old bottom 6 forward. Oh no, we couldn't get our bottom 6 38-year-old forward back.
Where does he play?
Exactly.
Where does he play?
Maybe we could get Engvall off. We could put him in for Engvall. I'd be fine with that. I think he's a better player than Engvall.
When he moves up in the lineup, he gets exposed. Because he's not the same player he used to be 10 years ago. Just isn't. Gets exposed. We've seen that. They tried to put him on the first line with Barzell. It doesn't do anything because he gets exposed going against good defense teams. He's a third line guy. On a good team, he's a fourth line guy. Or maybe third liner. He's going to give you solid effort. He's going to, but in essence, Holmstrom has replaced him, right? The new hero of the Lamanites, Holmstrom. Well, what's the difference? I'd rather have Holmstrom than Parise. Is Parise a better player than Holmstrom right now? Yeah, but there's no future with Parise. What do you get? Another year out of him? I even said when people said, oh, he was thinking about coming back, I said, he's not coming back to the Islanders. He's going to go to a contender.
When I saw this quote, I'm worried a little bit for Matt Barzal. Now, he said regarding Zach Parise signing with Colorado, he said, I'm sure if we had won 8 of those games that we probably could have this year, we'd be 15 to 16 points better, maybe even 10 points even ahead of where we are today. And I'm sure he'd be in the blue and orange. Man, you know what? You lost those games for a reason. There's a reason you lose those games. And you did them consistently all year long. It's not like, oh, man, just things. If we just would have closed out a game or two more, it would have been different. Well, no, it's because it's an actual issue that hasn't been addressed and needs to still be addressed on this team. We find ways to lose games. Think about it. We clawed all the way back in Thursday's game just to proceed to lose in the dying minutes of the game. Remember that? That used to always only be a Lane Lambert thing. Think about how many times Lane Lambert found a way to lose in the third period. Patrick Waugh's done that already too. I'm noticing the coach is different, but we're still seeing those similar type of heartbreaking results. I wonder why.
It's the players. Again, it's the players.
Yes.
Maybe what Islander fans, instead of crying that Zach Parise didn't sign back here, maybe they should look at the reason why he didn't sign back here. He looked at it. Call it. What's the one thing that Zach Parise has never done? He's never won anything. He's never won anything either. Okay. So what does he want to do? He wants a win before he retires, if he can. He looks at other teams and he looks at the Islanders. He lives on Long Island. He'd like to be on Long Island, but you know what? I'm not winning with this team. Maybe that's how the fans should look at it. Guess what? That team isn't good enough. If I'm going to come back and dedicate the second half of the season, I'm going to go to a team that has a legitimate shot to win a Stanley Cup. I'm not going to the Islanders. I don't want to play, how many games do we have left this year? 33? Yeah. I just don't want to play 33 games and then go home. I want to have a chance to compete for a Stanley Cup. And he knows, just like if you're being logical, you should know. If you look at things rationally, you should know this team just isn't good enough. And it's not going to be good enough. I don't care who's available at the deadline. We don't have the ammunition to get anyone who can make a difference for this team. Who are you going to move? Who are your most valuable pieces? Brock Nelson, right?
Noah Dobson.
Yeah.
You talk about your most valuable piece who's not tied to a long-term contract. That's your most valuable piece. And he is the best defenseman on this team. He'll be a Norris finalist and a Norris candidate this season as well.
He'll be close. I know for the final 3, you got to feel McCarr is going to be up there, the Hughes kid, Quinn Hughes, and Dobson. I just think Dobson's been great, particularly on this team, because he has to play defense on this team. Those guys really don't play a whole lot. Quinn Hughes doesn't play any defense.
No.
None. He's a better offensive player than Dobson. But if you ask me in a tight situation, am I putting tiny little Quinn Hughes out there in a defense situation? The answer is no. Much rather have Dobson. Dobson made about 2 or 3 just plays that he is so smooth. Just things that, and they're just subtle little moves that he makes out there to avoid hits, to turn the puck around from one direction to the other. He did a spin move at the blue line. I'm like, my God, this kid just gets better every day. You're going to have to pay him. He's going to have to get paid. He's a guy who should get paid. To me, there's only 4 or 5 guys on this whole team I'd keep. Everybody else is up for grabs. Everybody else. Everybody. And you have to suck for a while. I'm fine with that. Should have done it when the old man came in to start, like I said when he came in. Nope, didn't want to listen to me. So we got a couple of years where the team was a better than average team, and now we're back to just about where we were at the end of the Capuano-Wade era. Just maybe making the playoffs, maybe not. That's where we are, right back to where you start.
Disappointing. Absolutely disappointing. Now, I do want to go ahead and put this up here to at least showcase the pass by Noah Dobson. He's been spectacular. He, by the way, leads our team, I think you were telling me earlier, Grumpy, in points this season.
Yep.
Noah Dobson leads the team in points.
52 points in 49 games.
Wow.
Those guys get paid. Those guys get paid.
Some would say even $10 million, perhaps. Some people maybe said that last year because
he's never going to be the highest paid guy on the team. It's not happening.
Okay. All right. Well, now this is we pulled the goalie, right? Another 6-on-5 goal we get here. But man, oh man, look at this by Noah Dobson. Absolutely spectacular here. Right? Pinches a little bit, or let me maybe
goes to Matty B. And boom. Okay, I'm taking off. Here you go. Make that pass head up right away. He's already seen Palmieri. What a pass.
It goes through two Florida players, 42 and whoever this is back here. It's tough.
I'm going to say 3 because he had to beat a guy coming at him too.
Well, that's what I mean. The guy coming at him. I put it the guy tied up with Anders Lee in front of the net didn't have a chance.
Okay.
But think about it. He threads the needle right on the stick here for Kyle Palmieri, and the goalie Stolzar is well outside the net, and just bam, fantastic job by Noah Dobson.
Right, and a beautiful one-timer by Palmieri. Absolutely, yes. You know what? That's just a good hockey play. Yes. That's just a good hockey play, and his instincts are so good. They were gushing about him on the Florida broadcast tonight. Just
could not stop saying about how great the vision in here is, how great the anticipation is here, how fantastic, how crisp the pass is right on the stick as he threads it through two Florida defensemen, and how fantastic it was. They just said awe-dropping or mouth-dropping. It's just fantastic move by Noah Dobson. Right? Yeah. You talk about your positives. Those are one of your positives for the season. There haven't been a lot so far, but that's definitely one of them is Noah Dobson.
He made just in the defensive zone. He's just so smooth back for a big guy, man. He's really smooth. He's like I said, I loved it the night he drafted. That's the guy I wanted. You remember on draft night we did the show, and I'm like, that's the guy I want. Noah Dobson's the guy I want all season. I'm like Noah Dobson, Noah Dobson, Noah Dobson.
Brian New York says here positive comments from Waugh about Wahlstrom. By the way,
well, he got his first really well today. Maybe right. What were we talking about? What could Patty Waugh bring? Maybe he's going to give Wahlstrom a chance. I think he earned a more shot. You know what? That's why it's nice to have somebody outside the organization with fresh eyes looking at the players. It's important instead of the nepotism thing or just keep it all in house that Lou likes to do. You have to go outside, get a fresh perspective on the roster. Lou's going to be disappointed at the end of your meetings. And when he talks to Patty Waugh, if he's still here.
Oh, Thomas Weaver. He told retire, Grump.
I'm already retired. I'm just enjoying myself now.
Yeah. I was about to say. Yeah, it's.
And you know what? Here's the thing. I don't want to bag on Thomas Weimer, but I'm going to tell you, if you start calling me freaking names, I'm going after you. Just happening. So
yeah, here's the thing. It's all fun jest.
And here's the thing. I'm right. The thing is, I'm right. I'm right.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm wrong. I'm not delusional. I'm right.
I do think
right. I'm always right. Always.
I think now is a good time to go ahead and get into our ad read and then getting through some comments here. Today's podcast is brought to you by DraftKings, ladies and gentlemen. You've heard us talk about DraftKings before, right? We know hockey games move fast, but with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, you can score faster than anything happening on the ice. This week, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. You've heard us talk about it before. You can add same-game parlays up. You can pretty much put money in the bank that Noah Dobson's going to at least get an assist or a point every night. You can put money in the bank that, hey, the Islanders are going to be conceding at least 30 shots against at this point. You can add a whole bunch of these bets and wagers and use it as a same game parlay to increase your payout. It's a lot of fun there. If you like gambling, if you like sports betting, just make sure to check out DraftKings. And as we've mentioned before, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now with the promo code THPN. New customers can bet just $5 on the NHL and get $200 instantly in bonus bets only on DraftKings Sportsbook with promo code THPN. The crown is yours. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available if you have a gambling problem. If you call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of the Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. You must be 21 years or older, but age varies by jurisdiction. It's void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/hockey for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gambling resources. Whew.
Wow, you did that pretty fast. Must have been the same ad for a while.
We have been reading the same ad for a while, Grumpy.
I can tell you did. Once you read it like 15, 20 times.
It's almost like it's a play. It's like an act. I know it already. You want to know something that we haven't talked about yet, but I think it almost goes without saying. The crummiest thing about the struggles of the Islanders here recently is that all of the teams around us that are in the suck zone, as you so endearingly termed it last year, have all been losing too. But the thing is, the Islanders have been losing as well. So the Islanders, despite every team giving the Islanders an opportunity to further cement themselves into a position, they just haven't taken the opportunity.
No. But they all are within 1 point of us and have games in hand.
Yeah.
I'd rather have the points, but when you have games in hand, I just think Pittsburgh is absolutely going to make playoffs. Again, I look at goal differential. It's the biggest determiner of who makes the playoffs and who doesn't. Philadelphia is a -1. I think they're done. Carolina's going to win division. No doubt in my mind. You're going to see the usual 4 teams, at least out of the Atlantic: Boston, Florida, Tampa, and Toronto. All those teams are making the playoffs. Rangers, Carolina, absolutely. And then it's like, okay, so for one other team is because Flyers will not make it. Penguins, Devils, Islanders, Red Wings.
Oh my God. You know,
those teams are going to make the playoffs.
I'm looking at it. Fuck. The Lamanites are still spinning the struggles of the Islanders as positive.
That's like I said.
I find it hard to fathom.
No one. You know what? Here's the thing. If you're a fan, you never admit that you're wrong. Just don't. You just spin it in some other direction. Doesn't matter. Like I said, that's why I made that bet with Phil. It's real black and white. Make the playoffs. You can continue to tweet your ridiculousness. Lose, you're done. Done for a year.
And this is how you can manipulate short-term statistics to fit narratives. I love Phil, but this right here is the antithesis, or this right here is just what a Lamanite is, grumpy old man. He says 58% expected goal share at 5-on-5 in the first 4 games for Patrick Waugh. That was good for fourth. That was good enough for 4th best in the league this past week. Their PDO, whatever the hell that is, was .977. There to come out of the break playing like this and to get the penalty kill stuff ironed out, they'll be fine. Well, what we don't mention here is, again, out of those 4 games, 3 of those 4 opponents had played 3 games in 4 days and were on the back end of a back-to-back scenario. We won't include that. Maybe that could manipulate in a short sample size. But I saw this, Grumpy, and I was like, oh, Grumpy, you talk about manipulating the stats and manipulating the statistics. And here it is, Grumpy. Phil's at work once again, Grumpy, for you.
Yeah, I just sent you something in the private chat. I'm going to tell you what PDO stands for. I'm not going to say it because it's probably inappropriate.
Yeah. Let's not say that. Jesus Christ.
But am I right? Am I right?
Oh my God. Oh,
I
sorry.
want to say it's so bad too.
Let's not. Jesus Christ. Oh, oh, goodness.
Phil
Anyway,
put out a tweet earlier. Phil put out a tweet this week, and like I said, sometimes some Phil's tweets pop up for me.
they pop up even for Grumpy.
I
On
don't.
the TJ and the Grumpy Old Man, because Grumpy has a TJ and the Grumpy Old Man Twitter page on his phone, so he gets updates through TJ and the Grumpy Old Man, and somehow Phil's shit gets mixed in with that one. Don't ask me how.
So I read it, and somebody, after we lost, and then or something happened, and then somebody responded. Pretty soon he's going to tell us that over a 3-game sample, some guy was on 5v5 for the Rangers. Is the worst player in the league. I mean, it was hilarious because that's what Phil does. He'll spout some. How long did it take him? What time is it now? It took him like an hour and a half to try to gather something together to make a positive out of it. He wouldn't come on the show for a month because he could not spin anything in a positive way. It wasn't until he signed Patty Waugh that he agreed to come on the show because he's a coward. He's a chicken.
I do like this one. At this date last year, the Islanders had the same exact amount of points through 50 games, 6 points back of Pittsburgh for the final wild card spot. The Penguins also had 2 games in hand. It's obviously going to require getting on a run here, but this hill this year isn't nearly as steep. Did you see this? Oh my God.
Look where Florida was. Well, Florida.
We had 23 games. We had won 23 games at the time. We've only won 20 games this year.
We got
all the games.
We got the loser points. Right now, we're 20-29. That's our record. 20-29. 20-29. 20 wins, 29 losses.
That's a lot. We should celebrate over that. Who doesn't love losing 29 fucking times in 50 games almost?
49 games.
49 games. Man, oh man, I tell you,
we're just not good. I mean, here's the thing. I've been saying it for years. Start the steady turnover of the team. Just start it.
Look at this guy, Isles Mets Jets fan. You're just a joke, just a miserable person. Come at me, dare you?
Islanders Mets Jets fan. That's all I need to say. That's the trio of losers right there. Thank you very much, dude. I understand. I understand.
Make a catch. He said, "Nice catch," but you're calling up this a joke. Christ. Man. As an Islanders, Mets, and Jets fan, you've never seen
this failure.
This fan has never seen a professional championship in his entire life.
No, never.
I've never seen a Mets pennant. Not once. Not old enough.
Well, no, they won the National League pennant in 2015, then got beat by Kansas City Royals.
I'm
Kansas
sorry.
City Royals
I've never seen us win a World Series. Let me rephrase that. We did win. We did win that. Yeah, we did win the NLCS.
The Yankees in 2001,
I think.
2000, I believe.
Was it 2000? Yeah, the Subway Series. I fucking sucked. But yeah, this fan right here. The Islanders haven't won in how many? Almost 40 years. I'm sorry, 40 years since they've won the last cup.
40
years. Jets. When's the last time the Jets won a Super Bowl?
1969. Well, actually, it was a 1968 season. I was alive for that.
This is the reason why, though, the fan base is okay with just being shitty loser, because every fucking team that they root for are all miserable, so they expect that. But you know what? Look at other fan bases, look at other teams, look at other franchises, and say, "Wow, hold on!" Like the Golden State Warriors, they expected their team to win. What? They expected their team to win the NBA Finals? What? Wow, hold on a second. Teams like the Chiefs expect their team to win a Super Bowl? Teams like the Colorado Avalanche expect their team to win a Stanley Cup? What is this? Yeah, well, because that's the expectation in sports. Your team wins.
This guy's couch is a freaking beanbag.
All righty, let's start looking through some comments here. Dallas McDonald, he says, "What a pass by Dobson. His vision is off the charts. Palmieri's aim needs some refocusing, but the result worked. Another tough loss, though."
Yep. We didn't deserve to win. Varlamov was tremendous. Dobson was great. Barzell was good. The third line was good. Other than that, we were bad. We're bad.
Goon Grump.
I hereby award the Islanders the most mediocre NHL team thus far of 2023-24. How can I get this award to Lou Lamoriello to share with the entire lukewarm organization? I don't know.
You'll have to go there and hand it to him. He'll be up in the press box by himself. Maybe we can get a fans yelling at him saying, Bo Horvat! Hey, Lou Lamoriello, Bo Horvat! Whatever our new trade target will be this year. Let me ask you this, Grum. Do you think we're going to make a trade at the deadline to double down on this team again? We have almost every year we've been in the playoff picture.
I don't think there's anyone out there that can make a difference where we have enough ammunition to trade for them. So I'm going to say no.
It would be the first time under Lou Lamoriello's tenure that we didn't trade a first-round pick away while being within 10 points of the playoff picture.
Okay. I think we were 6 points out in the year, maybe it was 10. I thought we were 6 points out the year that we didn't make any moves. Instead of moving our guys who were UFAs, we just kept everybody on a team that didn't make the playoffs.
I thought we were 10 plus, maybe not. James Farrell says here, another overtime loss. I don't see this team in the playoffs. Yep.
No one does. No one, except the Lamanites.
Nick D says, Grumpy, TJ, Sun X didn't show up to work tonight. He says, how are you guys doing tonight? What a bunch of junk. When are the owners going to wake up and fire Lou? This is absolutely disgusting. It is.
Don't expect things to change until the old man's gone. It's just that plain and simple. Good evening, gentlemen and audience. TJ, are you sure you aren't living in South Pacific, Carolina?
No, I do not live on the East Coast. Theodore Allen says here, I can't wait for Phil not to be on Twitter for a year. We aren't making the playoffs. I will tell you one thing. When Phil is off of Twitter, we don't have to worry about some of these crazy Lamanites coming up with some of the craziest concoctions of ideas as to why the team is struggling or why, how they explain away this miserable failure, because Phil won't be out there providing the answers, Grumpy.
Here's what Phil will try to do. He'll try to change his name and do something, because no one has the time or the inclination to go. Here's the thing. I bet most of his stats aren't even correct. He just makes them up and figures, well, nobody's going to check that shit. Because when I call him on his stuff, you know what? He just moves on to something else because he knows I caught him in a lie. It's a lie. Lie, pants on fire. That's why his name is Phil's Fiction.
Oh, man. Hold on. Oh, my gosh. Jesus. Fuck. I tell you, they had the interview with Josh Bailey. Gosh, I was looking at that. Alan Avatar, Grumpy.
This team is average. Let Raw evaluate, kick the old man off the ledge, and trade everybody. First on the list, deal Nelson for a nice haul. This team isn't going anywhere. Exactly, Alan. Nice to see you back. It's been a while. We're glad you're back.
Yep.
People know where to go when they come to the realization that we're just not as good as we are. They live in fairy. A lot of people, not you, Alan, but a lot of people like to live in fairyland, where, everybody makes the playoffs. The Islanders are going to get a participation trophy. That's all we care about. No,
it's pronounced Allen. Remember, he's called him before. It's Allen, Grumpy. Allen.
Okay.
A big Isles fan says here, never say die, but it's time to put this team to sleep. John Smith said the Islanders once again make a backup goalie look like a Vezina goalie.
Okay. Now here's the thing.
Stolzar played well.
He was miserable early in the year. We shelled him. He's been really good of late, though. He's been really good of late, and I thought he was good today. Varlamov was better, but I thought he was really good. I thought both goaltenders were really good tonight. I'm just, like I said, if Florida hadn't played 3 and 4, this game's not even close. Not even close.
James F. says here, since Waugh, I think the Islanders are playing more aggressive. What do you guys think since we've had Waugh? I think we've been trying to put more pressure on not allowing easy zone entries. That we have been doing. We're trying to stop people, at the red line. We're trying to stop them with an easy entry to our own zone. That being said, I don't know if you noticed it and picked up on it against Florida. They just make an easy move and they pass to another guy who's streaking down the other wing, and it creates an odd man rush for Florida. That's how our guys are not fleet of foot enough to keep up with the skilled, quick wingers. Our defense isn't like that. So you're going to see a lot more odd man breaks and opportunities come our way trying to do that as of right now. Maybe we get it worked out perfectly and it works perfect. But right now, that's what I'm noticing that Florida did that was easy to combat us pretty much all night. That's why we only had 20 shots on net almost.
Yeah.
JP. Go ahead.
Parise is definitely paying his penance head coaching this operation. Either he'll get a better head coaching job or another franchise will become the next GM when all is said and done. Yes, that's what I'm hoping for next GM. Hunter says, I can finally admit to myself after tonight that this team is not making the playoffs. I knew they weren't making the playoffs, and I knew as soon as we went into the offseason, did nothing. We're not making playoffs. David Johnson says, fire Lou, hire Bailey. F. Lee Bailey, maybe, not Josh Bailey.
Oh, gosh.
What's his name, TJ?
Eve L. Grumpy.
What is effing wrong with this team? We're old and slow, mentally weak and fragile. Purge all the deadwood from this team at the trade deadline and summer. Yes. And his thing, everyone will eventually come over to the grumpy old man side as soon as they start using their heads a little bit. I'm not saying Eve. Eve knows. He knows. He's smart.
Chinny Chin Chin.
Chinny Chin Chin says, Grump wins again. Of course.
Hunter.
Would you rather Bailey or Engvall in the lineup? What's the difference? They both suck. That's the whole thing. The majority of this team is bottom six guys. I feel bad for Engvall. I feel bad for him because they're asking him to do something he's just not capable of doing, which is to be a second line player on a scoring winger. It's not what he is. He's never been that. To expect him to do that is a disservice to him. Putting guys in the best place for them to succeed is the best thing that an organization can do. He had a 15-game stretch last year where he looked okay. And I'm just using the word okay because he's always been a third-line player. So what do? You reward a guy off of 15 games with a 7-year contract.
It's hard to believe.
It's ridiculous. And the old man does that. Oh, my God. He does it over and over again. Josh Bailey lost a bet.
Hold on. Hold on. This, I think, based off the comments I've seen, we didn't watch the Islanders telecast, so this is new for you and me, Grumpy. Let's listen in here. I think this is the right clip I've got pulled up here, but I think this is Josh Bailey talking about how he's still ingrained with the culture and the current players on the team. Holy shit. This cannot be real. Hold on. Let's listen.
Miss being in the room the most. There's the nights in the hotels where you're hanging out playing cards, the plane rides. There's just so much time you spend together, and it was to be a part of it for 15 years.
I think he misses the song. Are you prepared for that tonight, to be in the stands for it, not be on the ice?
Yeah, no, I'm ready. I'm looking forward to it. It's been a little while, but we're happy to be back. Obviously, my wife and kids being here too. It should be a fun night. And I'm looking forward to seeing all the fans and getting back in the ring.
Honestly, I don't think there's anything wrong with
Here's
that.
the thing. Josh Bailey, nice guy. Right?
Very nice guy. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
People think when I beg on these guys, it's that they're, because I hate them. I don't. I just want a winning hockey team. All of them to a player, nice guys. No
Very
doubt.
nice person. Yep. Now that he's no longer on our team.
Here's the thing. Did I beg on Josh Bailey when they benched him last year at the end? Nope.
No,
it ended.
that's what needed to happen. That's what needed to happen.
Yep.
You needed to be no longer on the ice, and they accomplished that. Nobody didn't even cross the radar at that point.
Yeah.
Ponyberg Curtis, Grumpy.
Boys, I'm emotionally and physically bankrupt, and I need your help with being entertained and distracted. The penalty that Bolduc took that resulted in the Florida power play goal. This team effing blows right now. SBS. I told the warden what SBS stands for. She told me to watch my mouth.
Oh, God. Flex Crew Grumpy says here, Grumpy is the final boss of Isles fans.
Yep.
Dallas.
Can't win games when Holmgren and Pajot are your best players. Absolutely. And Wallstrom was good tonight too. That line was the best line. Overall, that was the best line tonight. Most sustained offensive zone time. Here's the thing. I don't know what the numbers were. All I know was when they were on the ice, the Islanders looked better. I mean, Anders Lee, did he even play? Brock Nelson, that second line's invisible. I know Palmieri scored a goal. Anders Lee was standing in front of net at the end. But, I mean, how many points is Pajot have? Is he going to even get to 33 this year? That's what I want to know. $5 million a year. How many is Anders Lee going to get paid $7 million a year? You think he'll have 40? Not me. 28, 29?
Mr. Meat, Grumpy.
I love the name, Mr. Meat. Islanders and its fans are in for a painful future. That includes me as a lifer. I've never stopped hoping. You guys have every right to be pissed. Yeah. Yeah. If anyone who is excited about this project, oh, I'm so glad we were a clown show until it was a circus till Lou Lamoriello got here. He served his purpose. He brought respectability back to the organization. Move on. He's 82 years old. Move on. Get someone with a pulse in the GM spot.
Thomas Warner says here.
Oh boy.
Same story these guys said last year. We traded for Bo Horvat, and they were positive the Islanders wouldn't make it. Well, Thomas, let me ask you this. They made the postseason last year. Absolutely, they did. And they defied all odds. We lost Matt Barzal, and we still made the postseason after acquiring Bo Horvat. Let me ask you this, though, Thomas.
I believe my stance was after we got Bo Horvat that we were going to be a chance to make playoffs. I don't
no matter what, we probably felt more likely than not we were not making the postseason. It doesn't matter. I'm fine. Sure, I'm fine. I didn't think we were making the postseason. That's fine. Thomas, the goal of this team and the goal of cheering for a professional sports team is not to say, we made the playoffs. Yippee. 16 teams make the playoffs in the NHL. There's 32 teams in the league. Half of the teams make the postseason. You make the postseason by being an average team. When you get your ass bounced in the first round of the postseason, were you happy after we lost in 6 games against the Carolina Hurricanes? Did you say, great success of a season?
To a team missing 3 of their top 6 forwards and playing a backup goalie. They finally put their starter in the last game. Shut out.
Yeah, think about that. They're missing 3 top 6 forwards and played their backup goalie in 5 of the 6 games they played against us. Were you happy with that result? Did that make you happy? If it made you happy, we're just not the same. We're different. You're happy with low expectations. We want glory. We as fans want to reach the pinnacle. We want to see our beloved New York Islanders lift the fucking cup this decade. That's what we want to see. I don't want to celebrate. We made the postseason back-to-back seasons. Yeah! I want to celebrate us lifting and hoisting up a fucking cup. That's what I want to see. If you're thinking about seeing anything else, you've got your expectations too low.
Are you happy being the Washington Capitals or the Nashville Predators or the St. Louis Blues?
The Washington Capitals have won a cup in the last decade.
That was 6 years ago. I'm talking about right now. Would you be happy being the Washington Capitals right now?
No, I would not.
Would you say that the Washington Capitals are a playoff team? Would you say that they're going to make the playoffs? Because they're not.
They're not a contender for a cup. Absolutely not.
They're not. They're absolutely not. Or the Nashville Predators?
Not a contender
for a cup? No. Calgary Flames? No.
How about the Penguins? Nope.
No.
How about the Flyers? Nope. How about the Detroit Red Wings? Nope. There's a lot of teams that might squeak into the playoffs that have absolutely zero chance of winning a Stanley Cup.
Zero.
Yeah.
Zero.
I don't know.
No shot.
I'm telling you. Here you go. Dallas McDonald Grump.
Can't win games. We already read that one.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't get rid of this here.
Tony the Werewolf Cheese. Wow, imagine that. We can make a change to our staff and nothing changes. Yeah, what do you expect? Right? Imagine that we re-sign 6 guys to long-term deals and nothing changes. Yep.
Yep. Alan Avatar.
The Engvall contract looks horrific halfway through year 1. Tell Phil that. Pierre is pathetic. I said it as soon as he was signed. I said, you must be kidding me. 7 years. I said, all right, you want to sign back 2 years, $3 million per. Mayfield should have been, never should have acquired Engvall, first of all, right? Pissing away a 3rd round pick. Mayfield, who I like, let him walk. You want to be back, Scott? 2, maybe 3-year deal, $4 million per. 7 years? Oh, but the AAV is down. I don't care. You're tied to him for 7 years, which means you cannot make any moves because you have no salary cap space. Varlamov. You could have traded him. You could have traded all those guys at the deadline. Zach Parise too. And if they wanted to come back, you give them low ball offers. If you really want to come back, you will. If you get more on the outside, you think anybody was offering Scott Mayfield or Pierre Engvall 7-year contracts? Nobody was. That look on Engvall's face when he signed that deal, holy shit, he's like, man, I expected like a 2-year deal. They gave me 7. I wanted to make sure I signed it, and then, it was notarized immediately so he couldn't go back on the offer. Same thing with Scott Mayfield. Same thing with him. He's going to be what, 37, 38 when his contract is up? How's that contract going to age? He's a bottom pairing defenseman. That's what he is.
Yeah.
And you give him a 7-year extension. Oh,
Problem is we have too many third liners, says Robert Marshall.
True.
Absolutely.
True.
Absolutely. We got here, Gungun says here, with some of these useless fat cats with no trade clauses, if they are benched indefinitely, wouldn't they eventually cry uncle and flee? Do real men drink decaf tea?
Here's the only way to get those guys to maybe say they want to be moved. You got to treat them like shit. Make it where it's not so comfortable for them. They get an injury, long-term injury, and just leave them there for the rest of their contract until they say, yep, I'll get out. They did it with Ladd, left him down there forever. They could have left him there forever. The stupid Lou brought him back in the playoffs, which was just dumb because that means that you had to bring him back next year. He could have left him on long. He could have Stefan Robidato him, which he did in Toronto. He absolutely could have done with Andrew Ladd. He could do with any of these guys. You get hurt, I'm just leaving you down there for forever, and you're never going to play. They'll eventually acquiesce to a trade. You're going to have to force it out of them, Mo. That's what you're going to have to do. Where it's like, yeah, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to ride the bus in Bridgeport. That's how you have to make it tough on them. Sorry.
Tony, perpetual mediocrity cheese says here, this sucks. It does, Tony Cheese. It does. AJ Piazza says, this roster isn't good enough. Waugh isn't a bad coach, but this team needs to rebuild. You have some core guys like Horvat and Barzal, Dobson and Sorokin, but they need to get the old guys off of this team. Yeah, absolutely, AJ. Couldn't agree more.
If they listened to me 2-3 years ago, let's start the transition now. You could see where it was going. You could see. The old man knew, except he doubled down on suck. You had an opportunity to jumpstart by moving some guys instead of re-signing them, moving them.
It's
frustrating.
AJ says here, if this doesn't show people the roster isn't good enough, I don't know what will. The only thing that will is not making the postseason again. And people are going to try to blame, they'll find something,
if we had just had Patty Watt earlier.
That's
even though his record is what, 1-2-1? Lane's was better than that.
It's early yet. I'm not going to get too fixated on the record. I'm just wondering when it starts becoming like, hey, you bring in a new coach, you're supposed to have immediate results. How quick are you expecting those results? That's what I'm curious about. John Smith here says, Horvat, Barzal, and Dobson are the only three worth a damn. Need to flush the rest of the team.
And Sorokin too.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Is Horvat real? Horvat is an absolute beneficiary of Matt Barzal, but he's immovable. I like Bo Horvat. Okay. So I'm like, yeah, okay. But I mean, Pulak, Pelech, see you later. I'd move them for the right price. You're going to have to make them want to leave, though. That's the thing. Everyone's so comfortable here, been here forever. They don't want to leave. They just want to, it's great. We get paid. We don't have to win. Don't have to do anything. I still get to play every night. It's great. Look at Josh Bailey. Yeah, I miss it. I mean, he's just cooking burgers and steaks and dogs for the guys every night when he comes home. I mean, he's in charge of the grill when everybody gets home.
One thing I do want to ask you that I think is funny, grumpy old man. We didn't even talk about the Islanders losing to the Montreal Canadiens. Mind you, Patrick Waugh headed back to Montreal.
Had his number retired.
Huge tribute. Had his number retired. And the Islanders come out and give up 3 goals. Was it 3 goals or 2 goals to start the game? I don't even remember. 3. They give up 3 goals in the first 10 minutes of action or something like that. Think about that. You've got your head coach who's being brand new head coach. You should be on your best behavior, trying to make the best impression you can, getting his fucking number retired. And then you give 3 goals in the first 10 minutes? What?
I mean, think about that ceremony.
Where's the heart? Where's the fucking heart and pride?
Think about that ceremony. They're doing the Canadian national anthem, and during it, as it's wrapping up, they unfurl his jersey from the rafters. Holy shit. Talk about emotional, right?
Goosebumps.
They come out, they lay an egg. Think about that. 3-0. 3-0. Totally dominated for the first period and a half. Totally dominated. Evans, the Islanders were a man down. Evans comes in the offensive zone, no less, a man down, grabs Dobson because he's got his head up his butt, draws another penalty. It's 5-on-3. Islanders score like 14 seconds later. Now the Islanders are in the game. I thought the Islanders controlled the action from that point on into the third period.
Yes.
Then, with 8 minutes to go, Brendan Gallagher, you would think no better. What is it? Just says something about Montreal, though, right?
I think Marty St. Louis is not the right guy there.
Absolutely not. Just dumb. The Evans penalty was dumb. What Gallagher did was even stupider, and he's a veteran.
Yep.
He's a veteran, and he's an assistant captain. He absolutely takes the extra stuff, elbows Pellick in the head. He got a 5-game suspension. I told you he was getting suspended.
Deservingly so, might I add. That absolutely was suspension worthy.
So
he got a game misconduct.
Yeah. So 5-minute penalty. Islanders score twice. Okay. Then what happens? Not a minute later, when they finally get off that penalty kill,
we go back into playing for a freaking overtime point. Let's get ourselves to overtime. Let's start just holding on to overtime. And we freaking turn over the puck, and Pierre Engvall vomits on himself and gives up a wide open opportunity for Montreal to cash in and win in regulation.
On a good team, Pierre Engvall is not even out there in that situation.
Yep.
That's the difference. Pierre Engvall is playing in situations that his skill set dictates that he should not be in. It's just that plain and simple. That's what happens when the talent level on your team is low. That's what happens. And you lose games like that. And Sean Monahan, nice shot. Let's give him credit. But at the end of the day, that's a bad loss too. We've had a lot of those losses like that.
Remember, only Lane Lambert could lose because Lane was just, I can't believe Lane put Matt Martin out, or Lane made this coaching blunder, or I can't believe Lane didn't put, guy A, B, or C out there on the left-hand side of the dot when he only should be taking draws on the right-hand side of that. Lane used to get a lot of blame for stupid bullshit like that. It's not Patrick Waugh's fault that Alexander Romanov, the puck bounces to his stick, it bounces over Engvall, and Engvall just mishandles it and gives up an opportunity for Montreal to score in the last 2 minutes or the last minute of action. It's not Waugh's fault. It's the player's fault.
If you're trying to clear the puck out of the zone, where should you go?
To the boards.
Go to the boards, not in the center of the ice.
Always to the boards.
I mean, you're taught that in mites.
Yes.
You're taught that at a young age. You don't use this. Just get the puck out of the zone. They're just playing again today. Scored the goal to tie it up, just playing for a tie. Almost cost them. Ekblad takes a shot at a really bad ankle. Boy, we've seen Varlamov give up goals from there before in the playoffs.
Brad Marchand.
Right? So you see it, and it's like, my God, thank God the clock ran out because that puck was in the net. And that would have been another brutal loss. At least we got a point today. But that's what happens. When you play not to lose, you get beat.
Yep. It says here, facts have been saying fire Lou over fire Lane. Yep.
Okay. If Lou goes,
so
Lane had to go too. I mean,
yep.
The GM's got to go. And that's why I think bringing in Patty Waugh, you watch, TJ, he's the next GM. Michael M. Boucher says, the owners have to step up and get rid of the senile Lou. Yep. 100% agree.
Oh, man.
Nikki,
here we go.
Oh, I'm sorry. Nikki Gentili says, if we stay out of the box, we will win a lot more games like this one. We give up too many penalties, 5-on-5. We're not that bad. We're in just about every game. I'm sorry, Nikki. I disagree.
Here's the thing. Nikki, we didn't score a 5-on-5 goals for 2 games in a row. We didn't score a 5-on-5 goal against Vegas. We didn't score a 5-on-5 goal against Montreal. We scored power play goals. We scored a delayed penalty goal. We scored a shorthanded goal. We didn't score any 5-on-5 goals.
Yeah.
Our team goal scoring is bottom 8 in the NHL. Who would have figured a team that's always bottom 3rd in the NHL is still bottom 3rd in the NHL? The only difference between this year and years prior is we're giving up a lot more goals with no increased production, at least regarding relative to other teams in the NHL regarding scoring goals.
Absolutely.
That's the problem. I do have a few memes here to show there. From
You see how Nicky Gentili, he disagreed with us, but he didn't call us ass clowns or anything like that. So we're nice to him.
Yes.
Lamanites
The
yes. Lamanites mood during the losing streak. This should be fun.
Do you know who this is, Grumpy?
Frank the something? Frank the Tank?
Frank the Tank. That's right, Grumpy. The big Mets fan. The big Knicks. Yeah, look at Frank the Tank.
Oh. The innocent hugger goes, losing is okay because it's fun to lose every day. I'm Mr. Brightside. I fucking hate that song.
Why
Grumpy, he's not, he proportionally his body is quite grotesque. Is probably the nicest way to put it.
But his pants look like they're on crooked.
It's because he's very large in the lower half of his body.
Okay.
Yeah, he's not. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. Oh gosh. It says Engvall when it comes to scoring goals.
Here's our boy Tua.
Oh God, let's see what he says. I think it's like I don't do none of that.
I am the worst football player.
I'm the worst goal scorer. The Lamanites, after Lou says he believes in this core for the 1 billionth time. Oh God. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else there. Yeah, I tell you. Oh, cool. They might be getting an NHL team in Salt Lake City. I would be excited.
No freaking way.
2 thumbs up. I'd be all down for that. I'd be down.
What? Salt Lake City?
I'd be down for that.
Don't they do polygamy there?
I don't know what they do. It's just like it would be Salt Lake City would be a good spot there to do that.
I mean, family nights are going to sell out. You know, husband brings his 8 wives and 47 kids. I mean, you know,
hey, there's a lot of people. Grumpy, it's a great family event.
Grumpy. Salt Lake City should not get a freaking team. No. Goon says no, absolutely not.
I say yes, Grumpy.
Will Watt at least have the balls to bench such superb talents as Engvall after multiple brain farts, including playing a key role in the last crass loss? I hope so. I like the fact that he saw a line at work today, and they played. I mean, like I said, fourth line. How many minutes did the fourth line have today?
Yes, Frank, by the way. I thought the same thing. He said Barzal's comments today proves that we have a loser mentality too. When he talked about Zach Parise, oh, well, if we closed out 8 or so of those games and had 15 to 16 more points, you know, he'd be here on the island wearing blue and orange. Yeah, dude. Like, Jesus Christ.
He's still pissed off that he signed that extension because he was dating a girl. That's the only reason he signed back here. Don't listen to me. Grumpy old man's going to give you some life advice.
Hold on. This is going to be bad. This is going to be bad advice. Don't listen, ladies and gentlemen. Young impressionable people, don't listen to this, I bet.
Boys and girls, don't do anything to stay in an area that's not in your best interest, over, you know, a boyfriend or a girlfriend. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Okay, it wasn't as bad as I thought. Sometimes you're very hyperbolic, Grumpy, so I figured I'd have to give the disclaimer. But goon, Grump.
Will Casey Zizekas complain again about fed-up fans booing lazy, lame play?
That's a good question. Do we think we're going to see Casey complain about the fans booing again?
I guarantee you he's read the Riot Act. If you do it that one time, he kind of borderline apologized, but he didn't. As soon as you start calling out the fans, your team's in trouble. I told you that.
Yep. Absolutely, Grumpy old man. Got a comment here from Tony. He says here, truth will set you free. Absolutely it will. Gungun says here, is Phil Sfax currently in the fetal position shivering?
Yes.
I think so too. Hunter, Grumpy.
It's not over. We have 75% of our players for the next 7 years. Yeah. Mm-hmm. How Pulak and Pellick look since 2019-20, and it's steady spiral down.
Yep. It wasn't at the first. It was like a little bit. It was at first. No. It was the first was like a little bit down, then a little bit down. It's like ooh, and now we're starting to hit a slope. It's like when you start to go on like a hill. It's not like a straight down. It was like,
and the thing is,
start going further and further down.
They're not finished as players. And Pulak was actually pretty good tail end last year. The biggest problem is he was paired with Romanoff, which is a problem. Still a problem. Dobson's been able to overcome it for the most part. But Pellick, I mean, his skating is I talked about it, last 2 years, right, TJ? How his skating has really gone back. It was never the strongest part of it. He's not finished, but you can't move a guy like that. Even I know he's got the no trade clause anyway, but you can't move a guy like that when he's got 7 more years on his contract. It's just hard.
Okay. Oh man, Ace,
That's why you're seeing smart GMs lock guys up when they're 23 for 7-year deals, and then you let them fly after that when the majority of their career's over.
I'm not gonna name the person who said this, but we've had them on the show, and I like them. But they mentioned in a space that, well, if you ever need to trade away a guy who's got a 7-year contract, you could just go ahead and retain half of the cap hit and trade him away. I said, God almighty. I said, doesn't that defeat the entire purpose? You're going to pay that guy half of his salary, half of the cap hit, just to not have him on your roster? I'm sorry.
You can't do that for 7 years.
It's a recipe for ask Minnesota how that's working regarding the cap hits and the penalty. Theirs is a little different, but ask them how it is saying we're carrying dead cap hits against our space for people who are no longer contributing, either AKA Ryan Suter and AKA Zach Parise. Point of view, Curtis, though, Grump.
Being that Sorokin is Russian, what goalie do you think he looked up to and was the biggest fan of as a kid?
Tretiak, yep.
Absolutely.
Yep. Alan Avatal said, Grumpy, you're 150% right. Preach, Grumpy. Laughing my ass off, Grump. Thomas Winger says here.
Here he is, my pal. Now, see, these must be the guys that X is talking about who says really negative, and X won't put those comments up. I said, put them up, X.
Well, X is not here, so I'm trying to it's like the old days, Grumpy, where I'm trying to multitask.
All right, Thomas Wiener, here's the thing. You're
I'm
nice.
gonna read the comment. Yes.
So the alternative is to blame Lou for the next decade. What's the answer? You need a new general manager. That's number one. Hopefully it's Patty Waugh. Hopefully he gets to assess the roster. The problem is you have nothing in the farm system. You have a whole bunch of guys who are on the wrong side of 30 with long-term deals. Lou is afraid to trade guys who have value to try to recoup some assets. You need to rebuild from the bottom up. There are guys who are still worth being on this team. You're stuck with Engvall. You're just stuck with him. You're stuck with Mayfield. You're stuck with Pelican Pulak. You're stuck with Barzell. You're stuck with Horvat. And I'm not saying I wouldn't get rid of some of these guys or that I would get rid of some of these guys. You're with Sorokin. Just by the term of their contract, you cannot even move Varlamov because of the fact that he's got 3 years left. You can't even buy him out. It's not possible.
He's got no trade clause. Yeah.
So who should you move? You should move a guy like Nelson.
So what
you build up Wahlstrom. If you don't think the Wahlstrom can be anything right now, his value is low as it could possibly be. But I mean, you're going to have to make some real. It's going to be austerity budget plan. That's what it's going to be. JG Pageau, modified note.
Okay, how you do it here is this, Thomas. Making it just to give you visuals and to go through really easy. Guys who come up on, they're going to be an unrestricted free agent. Your Cal Clutterbucks, your Matt Martins, players like that. Every single one of those players are moved, even if it's for a 7th round pick 3 years from now. See you later. See you later, Cal Clutterbuck. If a team thinks, hey, we think Cal Clutterbuck could be a good 4th liner for us because he kills penalties and we like that. Whatever it is, see you later, 3rd round. Oh, we'll get a 4th round pick, 5th round, 6th, 7th. I don't give a shit. They all go. Your guy, talk about Brock Nelson. Brock Nelson absolutely has value. He's getting paid $6 million a year, and he has 1 more year left on his term. He absolutely gets traded.
But the problem is they have modified no trade clause.
There's still 16 teams that he could be traded to. And I bet you the teams that he would okay a trade to would be teams that are probably playoff teams. The no trade teams he has in there are probably miserable teams like the Columbus Blue Jackets, shitty teams that he doesn't want to go to.
No, maybe he figures, okay, Columbus isn't going to want me. So I'll say I'll be traded to them because the only teams that are going to trade for a Brock Nelson are teams that are trying to compete for a cup.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Same thing with Palmieri. So maybe he's smart and says, I'm only going to look at teams. And I think, they ask you, hey, we're looking to trade you. What are your teams? I don't know if there's a certain date that you have to give them that.
Everything is submitted. Yes. Earlier.
Okay. So, but just looking at this, Palmieri, Pageau, Nelson, I don't think Lee is movable at this point.
He's not.
Okay. Those are the guys you move. Who do you keep? You keep Simon Holmstrom. Absolutely. He's on his entry-level contract. Kyle McLean, yes. Gauthier, sure. Keep him. He
He's
doesn't
no
make
value.
anything.
He's
Right?
no value.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to have to break the team down to build it up.
The guys you can move that are actually will have value and get you some back in return. Brock Nelson will. I'm not sure what Jean-Gabriel Pageau will get you. He's on the wrong side of 30. His body's smaller. He's got a lot of rough miles on his body. With
I think
2
you can
years
still
left.
get something. I think you can still get something for him.
Now, you can't trade everybody all at once, right?
No.
We're talking about how do you transition? How do you do this over the next 10 years? These are the guys where it's like, hey, contracts are coming up to where they're getting close to expiring next year.
It's not 10 years. These guys are all going to be out of the league in 10 years. It's not in 10
He
years.
asked, how in the next decade do you fix the problem? That's, I'm telling you how you do this in the next 10, how you do this in the next 10 years. When you start getting players that, hey, if they have enough value, we can trade them when they still have another year left of term left on their contract, you trade them then. You trade him because some team is going to say, great, Brock Nelson produces more than $6 million that he's currently being paid. We can get him for this playoff push and next year. And here's the other thing, too. You have to commit to restructuring the team. And guess what? If it requires that you take on a 50% cap hit, or you take if you withhold 50% of the cap hit on a guy with 1 year left remaining on his deal, and it bumps it up to say, hey, we're going to give you a first and a third to 2 first-round picks if you give us Brock Nelson at $3 million this year and next year, it's worth doing that. You have to commit to no longer thinking that you're going to win a Stanley Cup. That's the first step. You have to admit that this team is not winning a Stanley Cup. Once you do that, remember, you can always retain cap on 3 different players at any time period for your franchise. You can retain half of the cap hit on Brock Nelson. $3 million Brock Nelson will be a very valuable asset this year and next year. You can do things like that. The same thing with Jean-Gabriel Pageau, same thing with Kyle Palmieri. But you have to commit to it.
You remember the guy who I wanted in over the offseason, who they didn't go at, Sean Monahan, remember?
Yeah. He had the injuries. We're like, why not give him a shot?
He's been great for Montreal. You know what they're saying? They're going to move him. They signed him to a 1-year deal. He makes almost $2 million a year. They're going to move him at the deadline. That's what losing teams do. You take assets who are performing well for your team, you move them for assets for the future. That's what you do. We refuse to do that. It's just foolish. I don't know how many teams are going to go. I don't think Palmieri has value this year. Maybe next year with 1 year left on his deal. And the same thing with Pageau. You have to wait till you get to the last year before you can move them. Most teams are not going to bring guys on their roster for 2 years. They're just looking for guys on expiring deals, particularly guys in their 30s. So, I mean, that's another way to do it. Just frustrating. But that's how you do it, Thomas. You're going to have to not be afraid to get rid of some of these guys. Michael Boucher says, we have to have a total rebuild. They all come around to the grumpy old man's way of thinking at some point.
I'm seeing a comment here, Grump, that would, I'm not going to put it up, but I know you would just go freaking off about it. Mario Vargas, Grumpy.
Oh, I hope that comment's up there because I want to freak out. He says, I completely disagree with the Lamoriello brought back respectability to the Islanders. Just ask Panarin or Kadri how respectable the Islanders are. I disagree. I think he brought the Islanders back to respectability around the league because Lou Lamoriello is tremendously respected around the league. He absolutely is, even at this advanced age. Now the other GMs think we can fleece the old man. You know, he goes, hey, let me get this guy's number off the Rolodex. You know, he's really old school. But Panarin was never coming here. He used us to get the price up to go to the Rangers. Kadri, thank God we didn't sign him. That's all I have to say.
We were saying the entire offseason, please don't sign Kadri.
31-year-old getting a 7-year contract extension? Absolutely not. At $7 million per, we already have a clown on the roster like that already.
Oh, God. No. Okay, here we go. Brian, New York, Grumpy.
Give Wah a 7-year deal now. No, absolutely not.
It was a joke. Isles Mets fans here so dominated. The stats don't say that. I guess Wah lied. Okay, Isles Mets Jets.
What are you
fan.
talking about? Did you
We
watch
were
the game?
outshot, outpossessed. They had more shooting opportunity and high danger chances than we did. They had more power plays. Did they have more power plays than us tonight too?
I don't even know. I think so. I don't.
Maybe we're tied. I don't know. I thought that because they had what, 2 power play opportunities. The Islanders had, or maybe the Islanders had the
There
same.
weren't a whole lot of power play opportunities today.
Yeah. Outshot, outpossessed, out opportuned. I wouldn't call that saying we outplayed them. Look at the stats. The stats don't indicate that. Maybe
No.
the Corsi and analytics numbers and that bullshit does, but yikes. Gamer says here, Islanders do suck, but we did go to overtime tonight with the goalie pulled.
There you go. Nothing wrong with that. Got a loser point.
Deidre C. Grumpy.
I think you're being hard on Wah. Have seen improvement, but we're scoring less. But tonight was not a good game. You guys expect any difference? It's the players, let alone the injuries. Every team has injuries.
Yeah.
We're not decimated with injuries.
Like the Rangers. The Rangers have missed Filipino. By the way, he re-injured his upper body. Another one of those, I guess, head injury. I don't know if he'll ever play hockey again.
I think he might be. I think he'll play again, but he might not come back this year.
He's had like 4 concussions already, and this last one kept him out for 3 months. And now he came back on the ice, and within his first 2 days of skating, he re-injured himself where he had to be helped off with medical staff.
But he wasn't playing, though, right?
He was on the ice. He was on the ice. And like,
you realize how the concussion, sometimes you skate and the symptoms come back and you have to sit out more. I don't know if he was
on the ice for 5 minutes.
Okay,
and they had to stretcher him off.
Okay, but that means it wasn't like he was contacted again. He just had the symptoms recover, which often happens with concussions. Sometimes you go out there and do some exercise and you get the same symptoms back.
Yeah, not like that.
Okay.
You don't have to get stretched off, man. Oh, anyway. Here you go, Grumpy. My Little Brownie.
Don't think anyone thought Lambert was the problem, but fire most players doesn't roll off the tongue as well. That's right, Mellow Brownie. And make sure you listen to the TJ and the Grumpy Old Man show tomorrow because we're going to be talking football, AFC and NFC championships.
Yeah, football. Hopefully. Honestly, I'm pulling so hardcore for the Ravens, Grump. I don't even think I can tell you. I'm pulling for the Ravens. I'm pulling for the Ravens to win.
Well, the Ravens are
Lamar, baby.
The Ravens are going to win.
I'm pulling for Lamar, baby. He's the only thing that could save us from Taylor Swift making a Super Bowl. Drew L. Grumpy.
I think Grumpy deserves a 7-year deal with a modified no trades clause. Would you say the same thing, TJ and X? Well, X isn't even on the show.
Would say Grumpy, with his advanced age, he's a vet now on the team. I'd say maybe not 7 years. I maybe give him a 2-year contract. If he doesn't like that, you can find another podcast to work for. Isn't that right, Grump?
Yep. Frank K says Scotty Bowman couldn't fix this team. True. Just not good enough.
Absolutely. Goon.
Grumpy, what sinful move at the trade deadline would Louis have to commit to make you blow your stack? Trading away another number 1 pick, bring back Josh Bailey and make him captain? I think he's moved on from Josh Bailey. It was about 2. It was how many years? When did I say they should trade Josh Bailey? Remember, he had that great playoff run. I'm like, now's the time to trade Josh Bailey because he's not that good a player. They refused to do it. They had to give up assets to get rid of him at the end. They could have gotten something for him after that playoff run where he led the team in scoring.
Yeah.
Didn't he have like 18 points or something? Something like that. I'm like, that's sell high, buy low, right? Sell him. That's when you get rid of him.
Matthew S. Grumpy.
Oh, my God. What a game tonight. Still waiting for my train. 2 losses bracketing my 40th birthday. So effing frustrating.
Happy 40th, Matthew.
40, man. You're old now.
Grumpy, how many years ago did you hit 40?
A lot of years ago.
Robert Marshall.
Amen, Grumpy. Not enough top-end talent. True.
Rogue Gamer says, Legends! Freedom Fun Adventure.
Just got home, fellas. Why the heck was the show so late? Here's the thing. X and I were going to do the show, and TJ wanted to make sure he was part of it. And I told him, I said, I don't want to be doing the show till 1 o'clock in the morning. Here it is, 12:15.
We're going to be out before 1, all right? So calm your tits, Grumpy.
Doesn't matter to TJ because he just does whatever the hell he wants. So he says, tough to watch. Really talented folks have to perform with people who aren't in their league. Grumpy does best he can with the sporting cast he has. It's true. I feel like Matty B, and I got the 2 jabs.
I'm no adoption, Grumpy. That's what I feel like. Always hated on, but an integral part. Eventually somebody will see that. Adam P, Grumpy.
Bailey said it best during the intermission, not verbatim, but he said there's not a lot of movement here. Families get close. Bailey admitted he's in the cul-de-sac club. Yeah, no shit. When did I give him that name? Was it 3 years ago, 4 years ago? I forget.
It was a while ago. It sticks and it's always there.
Yeah.
Brian, New York Grumpy.
Positive. We have a coach who has a plan and is communicating it. Yeah, but you know what? Unfortunately, who has the power right now? It's the
general
players.
manager.
Well, it's the players.
Yeah,
because they have long time, no cut contracts. That's a problem. That's why you got to start culling some of that. Make it bad, make it miserable for them. Make them want to leave. That's what you got to do.
That's why they're having really hard practices, Grumpy.
Grumpy is right. They are who they are. The power play is barely watchable. The second unit is a joke. I can't stand it. Okay. The power play was bad tonight, really bad. Florida is the best team in the league against the power play. I watched that first because the Islanders have actually been pretty good on the power play. I watched them when the Islanders had that power play. I thought Florida had the puck all the time. Anytime it came in zone, they got it right out again. Florida's much improved. They really are. You're going to have to reassess your thoughts on Paul Maurice, TJ.
I was about to say, you don't know the weird thing? When I saw him tonight, I was like, shit, dude. I remember bagging the hell out of him last year when he came out. The team played like shit, and I said, he's a fucking loser. He's a quitter. He's not the real deal. They come out, they rattle off a freaking great Stanley Cup run, and would they get to the Eastern Conference Finals before they lost? Or did they get to the Eastern Conference
Finals? They got to the Stanley Cup Finals.
They got to the final. Oh, yeah, and they lost to Vegas. That's right. Yeah, and I'm like, this year they played well, too. I'm like, shit, I'm going to have to revise that because he absolutely has done – I mean, their team's playing well. Nothing else I could say about it.
But here's the thing, and we talked about it when they made the deal. Everyone told me I was stupid, crazy, clown.
We both agreed on this, too, by the way.
Yeah, okay. I said, Matt Tkachuk, they got a heart transplant. That's the word I use. They got a heart transplant. They traded two better players if you look at the numbers.
Mackenzie Weegar. Yep.
Weegar and Huberdeau for Matt Tkachuk. And I said immediately, Florida got the best end of that deal. Oh, what are you, crazy? Look at these guys are giving up. I said, no. He's going to bring something that team lacks, which is grit. That's a team like the Islanders were when they traded Billy Harris and Dave Lewis for Butch Goring. They needed something to get them over the hump. Matt Tkachuk was that guy. Look at Sam Reinhart they picked up. Sam Bennett. These guys, they got for a song. They come in there, they're ingratiated in that culture led by Matt Tkachuk, and now they're phenomenal this year. I mean, that's sometimes you have to do that. They came off a year where they won the President's Trophy, and they wound up losing to Tampa in the second round of the playoffs. And they said, you know what? We're not good enough to beat Tampa right now. They know how to win. We don't.
Yeah.
And what do? They get a heart transplant. They bring in Tkachuk. And it took them almost all year to get it figured out with the new coach. All of a sudden now, they're one of the best teams in the league again. And a team that's going to do damage in the playoffs, without a doubt, because now they know how to play. They know how to win big games. They just know how to do it. And sometimes you need to do that. We didn't. The old man wouldn't do it when we had our opportunity. Freedom Fund Venture says, tremendous point by TJ. I remember when the Islanders had way less talent on the roster, and if the alumni were in the house, they would always win. Most of these guys don't care. I don't think Lee and his crew are upset.
Yep. Alan Avatal.
The Islanders will finish second to last in the Metro. I don't know. I think they're going to be better than the Flyers.
I think the Flyers are going to collapse.
I don't think much of the Flyers, to be honest with you. I think we'll be better than Washington. I don't think much of Washington and Columbus. But I think absolutely Pittsburgh and the Devils will be ahead of us. So we'll be, what is that, fifth? I think fifth in the conference.
Brian, New York.
You want to play defense, you turn the puck over. You want to play defense, you turn the puck over. You want to play offense, you get the puck deep. Yeah, it's all simple stuff. Yeah.
Islanders need a 10-game win streak.
Well, he just said a 10-game streak. I think we're on one now. We lost a lot of games in a row.
Only 3.
Ant Bruce says, and not A-U-N-T, just ant like the bug, Ant Bruce. It's time, and he's yelling this at us too.
I think it's like
fire sales, sell or buy. OT, some contracts. Keep Barzell, Horvat, Dobson, Ilias, Nelson. No, got to trade Nelson. He's got value. Got value.
See you later, Nelson. Dim J, Grumpy.
This team is lucky to even win 3 in a row.
Adam.
I know he meant it sarcastically too. Adam says, Lambert was a clown. Stop. He couldn't coach a peewee league from the country of Jamaica. I disagree. I think he could coach a peewee team in the country of Jamaica.
Oh, gosh.
I mean, he wasn't the answer, but that's not why the Islanders aren't good.
There's a lot of good he did that gets overlooked. He did bad, but all coaches have the good mixed in with the bad. But this team just sucks.
He shuffled, he did. There's only so many things you can do. You shuffle. It's all you can do. It's like rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. They're just not good enough. The ship's going down. Gungu says, gentlemen, if Lou Lamoriello personally apologized to you both for all his wrongdoings, would you accept his apology? No, we would accept his apology and say, why don't you come on the show? But guess what? We're going to ask you real questions. We're not going to ask you what your favorite color is. I'm just going to tell you that much.
We sure it's not going to be useless like a PR campaign? Or it's like he meets with Shannon Hogan for 2 intermissions in a row, Grumpy? Road gamer.
Sure. What is a Stanley Cup? It's like one of those cups that you can buy in the store. They sell them at what do they sell them at, TJ?
Target.
Target. I thought it was
Target is where they sell them.
Starbucks. I thought it was Starbucks.
The Target Starbucks is sold at Target. It's like the Stanley Starbucks is sold at Target, I think.
So those are Stanley Cups, just to let you know.
Freedom Fund Adventure.
Currently, the Islanders are pretty much a lottery team. Isles can hire a really good GM. Yes, hard work cleaning up Lou's mess, but great ownership, facilities, and a really talented core. Get rid of Lou. Okay, I'll differ a little bit, but I have no problem with that. If you want to go in and rebuild, I'm fine with it.
If we went ahead and did that and we're proactive about it, I would be happy. I'd be elated.
You know what else? You want to know what else you'd see on the show? Much more positivity.
You wouldn't see any negativity because it's like, great, now we finally admitted that we're not. That's the first step, admitting that we're not good enough to win a Stanley Cup as currently constituted. Now we can go about finally figuring out the way to make shit better. We're not even at the point where we admit to ourselves that this team is not good enough.
That's the frustrating point for me anyway. It's like, where are we going?
It has to be even worse really quickly for you, Grumpy. You've been saying this for 5+ years that we've been in this show. I've only been on this route for about 2 or 3 years. You've been saying this for 5+.
It was after the first year we lost to the Lightning and we made no changes. That was like, I knew. I'm like, you're not doing anything to get over the hump. You're just not. We had an opportunity if we took a big swing to get somebody, but he wouldn't do it. Lamoriello just wouldn't do it. Second year, he wouldn't do it. I knew it was after the second year. I said, that's it. We're done. We're absolutely done. Then we didn't make the playoffs and everything's spiraling. But I've been saying it for a number of years. We had opportunities to kind of, if you didn't make the big swing, you got to transition away from this group. He didn't do either. And that's why you're stuck in this. This is why you're stuck here.
Yep.
Sorry.
Rob G says you're very disgusted in the Islanders offense lately. Plus, they don't seem to get any good bounces. Brian New York says here, Parise's plan was typical cul-de-sac bullshit. He's not Mario Lemieux.
He's not even Pepe Le Pew.
Alan Avatar Crump.
Zach isn't stupid. Went to a contending team. This is a pretender at best. Yeah.
Yeah. Freedom Fund Adventure.
I don't give a rat's ass about Parise. Lots of Islanders fans are needy and can't let go of the past. Absolutely. I bet most of these fans break up and get back together with the same person over and over again. Shake my head.
Rob G says here, disappointed in Parise's decision. I thought he should have come back to the Islanders to finish off his career, but he's hungry. Too hungry. Yeah, well, I here's the thing. He made that statement about, he never wants to change it up. I'm shocked, honestly, he came out of retirement. I really am. I know he's still practicing. How much do you realistically think he's got left in the tank? And for Colorado, he's a really good fit. He's going to play a bottom 6 role where they're going to say, hey, buddy, we're not going to call on you a lot, but when we do, we need you to do what we're asking you to do without a mistake. And that he can definitely do.
He's going to get 12 minutes a game and be balls to the wall. That's what they need.
And
Every team,
he fits exactly what they're needing.
every contender, well, if you're a contender, that means your top six pretty good. And usually they need to fill in with bottom six guys,
Yes.
you know, the opposite of what we do. But he'll be really good in that role. And you know what? I'd love to see him win a Stanley Cup for Colorado. Why not? I mean, last shot at it. This is going to be it.
Yep.
Thomas Weimer says, then what is valid? LOL. I think it's a joke to shit on our team when we're finally respectable. What's your thoughts, John Smith? Okay. You realize we're not going to be respectable in a year.
Yeah, and that's the one thing. We're respectable now, but I think the issue that we see here is because we're not being proactive, we're going to go back to not being respectable again. And the thing is, it's preventable. We could have avoided the catastrophe that was on the way or made it a less catastrophic event, but we didn't heed any sort of warning signs. And it's going to be really bad when the fall from grace is hard and fall, and we'll see it. Freedom Fund Adventure says, I'm stunned Holmstrom has 15 goals. A really good value on a contract,
15 goals?
At a level needs a rise. Yeah, 15 goals. 15 goals and like 3 assists or 2 assists, whatever it is.
Okay. I never
He
thought
scored tonight. He scored tonight on a little banging goal.
Really good value on his contract, and his battle level needs. Yeah, he won't go into the corners. Just won't do it. He's a goal hanger. He's a guy, you see it every night.
He's got 12 goals. I'm sorry. He's got 12.
Okay, I didn't think he had 15. He's a goal hanger. He likes to hang out at the blue line and try to get, hey, hit me with a pass. That's what he looks to do. He does not compete in the corners. I don't like him. Grumpy hated Holmstrom a year ago. I still hate him. But here's the thing. He doesn't make anything. He's on an entry-level deal, and on a third-line role, he's acceptable. It's when you try to elevate a guy like that past his skill set. That's all.
I will say this, right? I like his play. I think he's done a good job on the third line. He's done a good job on the penalty kill at times. Absolutely. And 48 games, he's got 18 points. With minutes on the first line earlier in the year, he couldn't make it there. Time on, I don't know what to tell you. The guy's played okay. I don't get the celebrating and the love and adoration for him, but he's played well. But I mean, eventually they're going to have to be guys that carry the freaking boats, and we don't have those on this team.
True.
John Smith, Grump.
6 wins in the last 20, bottom of the league in most metrics except maybe power play percentage. This team has major issues. Yeah, true.
Only 6 wins in the last 20 games. All the people who wanted to celebrate overtime points and loser points.
Got to win games in regulation.
Yep.
TJ, remember, is not an Islanders fan. TJ's a Red Wings fan. He does. He loves those Red Wings, man. He does.
I wish we had Stevie Y. I wish we had Stevie Y as our general manager.
No way. He's already proven. No, he's already proven in Tampa he wasn't good enough to get them over the hump. He was not.
You're general manager. Guess what?
He wouldn't.
He set the foundation and the base for them, just like he's doing with Detroit. Guess what? And if Detroit wants to win a cup, they won't be able to do it with him. But he sets a really solid foundation when somebody else can come in and win them cups. Okay. We're at the point where we need to have a foundation set, and Stevie Y is the best guy to do that.
How many years has Stevie Y been GM in Detroit?
5 or 6.
That's a long freaking time. And
they were a really bad team. They traded away draft pick after draft pick after draft pick, just like this sorry team's done for years.
They've been picking in the top 5 every year for 5-6 years since he's been there.
They're hitting
in Tampa. He was there for how many years? They had to get, and Tampa was a failure in the playoffs until they moved him out, brought in Brisebois, moved the assistant up, said it was time for him to move on. And guess what? Brisebois made the moves to make them Stanley Cup champions. Eventually, like I said, you love Stevie Y. He's not a guy to get you over the top. Just not.
He's a guy to get you there.
Okay, you know what? They're going to have to. Detroit's at least going to have to make the playoffs before I say that.
They're making the playoffs this year.
Okay.
You've
said that 3 years in a row. You've said that.
Detroit Red Wings are making the Stanley Cup Finals this year. They're winning it all, Grumpy. Detroit Red Wings.
Okay, we'll see.
Matthew C.
Matthew C says, hopefully Patty Watt tells Lou our players suck for the most part. Yeah, I mean, there has to be, is the old man willing to, if he gives him recommendations, is he willing to say, okay, we're going to do something to get rid of these guys? Or is he just going to say no? I think when you bring somebody like that in, ownership brings him in, because I don't think he was a Lou Lamoriello hire. I think you watch. I think he's going to be a new GM. Thomas Weaver says, Grump, what's your opinion of Holmstrom at this point? Love to hear you yell some more. I think he's okay in a bottom 6 role. That's it.
I think he played well in the bottom 6.
He will not go into a corner.
That's true.
Zero puck battles. He just doesn't win those. He has decent wheels. He's a freaking goal hanger, though.
Yes.
You notice how he stopped scoring goals on the penalty kill? Because guess what? Like I said last week, other teams look at him. Oh, look at the little Make-A-Wish kid coming down. Oh, shit. He can actually score if you let him walk past you. That's what it's like. I'm not a fan of his.
Dobson is untouchable, TJ. Let's talk about the guys we trade. Now, here's the thing. I was talking to Grump about this earlier. I don't know if you're going to have the cap space to sign Noah Dobson long-term to an 8-year extension. I'm not sure about that. And guess what? If you sign him to a bridge deal and you're in the middle of a rebuild, he's going to be a very, very, very valuable asset, and he will be traded. That is what you see because of incompetency from general managers. I could absolutely see that as a possibility. I hope and pray to God it doesn't, but I think that's a possibility. Drew L. Grumpy.
I just have a feeling no matter what move Lou makes, this so-called group is on its final legs. I think no matter what we miss the postseason next year, we're going to miss it this year too.
Okay, Grumpy, I'll read it here. Adam P says here, the fans accept a loser mentality. Yep. True. Frank K said here, this team has a loser mentality. They're done. True. It stays says, I love Grumpy. Alan Avatal says here, what can we get for Nelson? I think realistically a first plus.
A first and a second.
Yeah, first plus. I mean, hey, if you held 50% of the cap hit on them and said we're gonna go ahead and submit to being a team that's not a real playoff contender, you could get a first, 2 firsts, then some.
I don't know if that. Well, you know what? Maybe. Okay, but here's the thing. I think I'm willing to do that. I think he's a tradable asset. Anybody who I can move and is willing to move, I'd move. It's time. It's time.
Rob G.
We have to give Watt a break. It's only his 4th game, and they can't learn everything a week. Agreed. To me, it's the talent level just isn't good enough.
Grumpy,
what did Grumpy say about the 2015 era? I thought that
2002 to 2015 era. 02 to 2015. So that 13 years where the Islanders were really in the dark times.
We were a city team who didn't want to spend any money. We had a couple of years, I'm trying to think, where we made playoffs, a couple of years with the young core when Tavares was here. I think it was 15. Was it 15 or was it 16 we made the playoffs?
I don't know.
But yeah, we're a bad team. But you know what? Ownership didn't want to commit. So that was when the most exciting thing was, hey, who are we going to draft? We're picking in the top 5. Who are we going to get?
Maybe we'll get Nino Niederreiter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
bad team.
We finally have an ownership group that will put forward money and is not afraid to commit capital to make this team a good team, perhaps. And that's what the team would never have been as bad as they were from 02 to 2015 if they had that. Tony, perpetual mediocrity. G says here, I don't care about anything other than keeping Sorokin, Dobson, and Barzal. Losing them scares me. I don't want to relive the earlier 2000s.
The problem is by the time you rebuild the team, Barzal's going to be close to 30.
He'll be at the tail end.
Sorokin's going to be in his 30s. Dobson's going to be 28, 29.
Yep.
I mean, that's the problem. Dobson can last a long time just because of the type of game he plays. Matty B, with his skating stuff, he can last a long time too. He's so good on his edges.
34, 35.
Yeah. Okay. Well, still, you could get some.
He won't be the same player he is now. Then, though,
it's going to take a while to rebuild. But you have to be willing to rip it down to the studs. Like I said, if you see any of these Pellet Kulak, if there's interest, move them. You don't need guys like that. You don't need guys on 7-year deals anymore. Just stop. Not older guys. John Smith says the rare Islanders one-timer. Most of the time they dust it off and give the goalie a chance to move over. Yeah, I thought it was a fantastic shot from Balmieri. I think it's his second this year, actually. He's good at that. It's Days says Grumpy's right. Doesn't matter about what. That's true. Thank you.
Robert Marshall says here, as far as I'm concerned, all the Swedes can go. Holmstrom, Aho, and Engvall. Oh, man. You're not wrong, though. They're not, they're not pieces that are, that we have to have in order for the, the gears to move. Road Gamer says here, build around Sorokin and Barzal, and now Dobson.
I would keep Holmstrom because he's on an entry-level deal. You're not going to have to pay him much for his next contract. He's shown that he can be a serviceable third-line player, and he's cheap.
Cutshite revenge.
Oh, it's when you sign guys like Casey back to a 6-year deal when he's 30 years old. It's just dumb. It's just dumb. Or signing Martin back or Clutterbuck to 2-year extensions when they're in their mid-30s. Just stupid.
Cutshite revenge says here the Islanders core going forward is going to be Horvat, Barzal, Holmstrom, Dobson, Sorokin, Romanov, Trey Bate, Brock Nelson, and Oliver Wahlstrom.
I'd like to see Oliver Wahlstrom playing. This is what I'm looking for the rest of the year under Patty Waugh. Is he going to be given a legit shot? Because, like I said, the previous regimes, Trotz and Lane are virtually the same with Lou Lamoriello. No shot. If this kid shows up with Patty Waugh and he gets a legitimate shot, he can be part of the solution going forward.
Freedom Front Adventure says, TJ, what sports do you want your daughter to play? Will Grumpy be allowed to coach her? Probably not. What? Will it suck having to watch women's sports? I'll enjoy watching my daughter. I'm sure I won't enjoy watching just like random female sports. Probably not.
It's friends and family. You should enjoy it.
That's what I'm saying. When I'm the friends in the family, I will enjoy it, but I'm not going to be like, hey, let me go watch a random high school women's rugby game or something like that.
I want her to get I want her to get a good education, be next president of the United States. That's what I want.
I don't want that for her. Flex Crew. I don't want president of the United States. Seems like an awful job.
Okay, how about a CEO of some Fortune 500 company?
Okay, much better. Is that what PDO means? Phil's delusional optimism. No.
Can we tell him what it means? It's late. No.
No. Gee, it has something to do. God. If you tune into tomorrow's show, I'm sure Grumpy will let you know then.
Maybe.
TJ and a Grumpy Old Man show. I don't feel like seeing it on this one where it's like, okay, I don't know. Maybe not tonight. Thomas W says here, all in fun, Grump. I appreciate you guys doing the pod. Absolutely, Thomas. Thanks, man.
Like I said, I hate the beggar. You call me a clown, it gets my fucking blood boiling. Sorry.
There you go here. Okay. Matt D, Grumpy.
Nelson needs to be moved as soon as possible. Flip his return and package for Zegras. Now, here's the thing. If you're telling me we're moving a first-round pick this year and Oliver Wahlstrom for Trevor Zegras, absolutely. He fits what I want. A young player who is dynamic and would have a shot to grow with the team. If I'm making a trade, that's what I'm doing. That's exactly what I would do.
Freedom Fund Adventure.
Wow, X didn't show up for work again. Must be nice working for your daddy where you can't get fired, Chris Lamoriello, Fredo. I mean, X doesn't seem like a guy you go to war with. Look at TJ, late, but he shows up.
Yeah.
He called me. Matter of fact, he called me at like 10 to 8. Not doing a show today, I guess, huh? I'm like, I said, no, I think we're doing it after the show. I'm not doing that. He's like, it's too late. I don't want to be doing a show till 1 o'clock in the morning. 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock.
X is up just sticking around right now anyway.
He's playing the videos.
Frank Accardi said 6 wins in 21 games. Wow,
hold on. If we get rid of it, I want to make that bigger on my screen so I can look at that picture because I find that, I like the picture, man. I like it. Have you seen the Islanders jerseys that they're going to wear?
Holy shit. Oh my God. For the stadium series.
The reason.
Do you want to save that? Do you want to save that for next episode?
Okay. All I'm going to say.
It's going to be the All-Star break. It'll be the All-Star break. Save it for next episode. Can it up, and we're going to fucking roast them for the shitty jerseys next episode. We've done enough roasting for today. I'm done with the roasting. I'm done. My anger's already gone.
All right.
Frank A. Grumpy.
Under Waugh, they seem to be pretty much more of a puck movement team. Only problem is they're terrible at it outside of 2 or 3 guys. Exactly.
Yes.
It's not. We got one guy who can handle the puck at high speed. It's like we are a team built for the 1990s. That's how our team is built. It's not 1990 anymore, Lamarillo. It's 2020s. The game is played differently. It's called differently. Yeah, okay. Freedom Fund Veg says, notice how Bailey didn't say anything about competing, battling, sweating, winning together. He just cared about the nights away from his family, staying up late, playing cards, party by Josh. Yeah, you know what?
Dude,
Yeah.
I'm fucking telling you though, that
That's
is exactly
that's the team mentality. That's the cul-de-sac crew mentality, right?
Freedom Fund Adventure. You are 110% correct. I could tell you this.
You need to save that clip that we put on earlier today. You need to save that clip because that is a clip that we can always play with the cul-de-sac whenever we talk about it. This is the problem with the cul-de-sac crew. That's what they talk about. Hanging out with the guys, playing cards at night. Oh my God. It's the truth.
You're 100% right though.
Yeah.
He didn't talk about he didn't talk about I really look fondly on our deep runs into the Eastern Conference Finals. And I look back on what could have been. Doesn't have any desire or hunger or anything like it doesn't burn him that they lost in 7 games to Tampa and he fucking turned over the puck to give them one goal lead. That didn't fucking burn him at all. He's not, he called
What are your memories? What are your memories?
What are your memories? The successes that our team had in the late. Go ahead, Grumpy.
What he should have said was, I remember the night my career really ended was that Game 7 against Tampa when I let that guy walk by me shorthanded to score the goal and beat us. Otherwise, we would have beat Montreal and won a Stanley Cup.
Everybody said it. Everybody said it. Yeah. But yeah, it doesn't look back on all the fucking
comment of the night. This is comment of the night right here. Right here. Comment
very, very, very spot on, Freedom.
I am so pissed off that I didn't think about that. I should have. I would have thought about it later.
Same damn thing. I'm thinking the same damn thing too. We didn't have enough time to think about it, but I'm like, you're 110% right, Freedom Fund Adventure. Absolutely. You're 100% right.
I was too angry still when that thing came up.
Are you too angry at Thomas's comment because he called you a clown? Grumpy gets so fucking pissy when somebody calls him a clown.
I don't, or anything. I don't like being called names. I can call people names, but I got thin skin. Does sound like anybody else we know? I don't
Is that because you're old, Grumpy, or because you're like Lou Lamoriello?
Yeah.
Thomas
says, appreciate the airtime, fellas. LOL. Seriously, I'm a big fan of you guys, but give me some answers. All anyone does is complain with this chat. I'm probably TJ's age, and no, he hasn't seen anything. I don't know how old you are, so I can't answer that question. I don't know how old you are, Thomas.
Must be in his 30s.
But here's the thing. The fans or the people who listen to this show, they think a lot like we do. Like we have the leader of the Lamanites, Phil's Fiction, on here, and we have to skewer him on a regular basis. The whole thing is all we want from this team is to be good.
Yes.
That's all we want. When we see that it's going in a direction that is not conducive to winning, we lose our freaking minds. If this team started turning over guys and you could see, okay, because I think ownership wants to win. I believe that. They want to win. They trust the old man. They need to cut that. They need to cut that umbilical cord, cut the apron strings, move on from that. But once we see that, then the show goes, in my opinion, goes in a different direction if you can see positive developments coming. It's when you don't see anything positive coming, it's really, really difficult.
I used to be very double down on that. And to speak about it, I used to be very positive when the team was back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals. Grumpy and I would just, because we always saw different ways, all right? I saw the results. The results speak for themselves. If you're making the Eastern Conference Finals, your team is a legitimate contender. If you're a top 4 team in the NHL, you're a legitimate contender. Grumpy always disagreed. Well,
why? And what I used to call you? Remember what I used to call you?
Pollyanna, Grump.
Pollyanna. That's right. Everything's great. I'm like, no, we're not good enough. We're not contenders because we can't even get out of our conference. We can't win our division. Then we're not contenders. That's what I said back then. We could have made a big move to make yourself a contender. He didn't want to do it. Every year we doubled, we believe in this core. Or how about the popular one after the second loss in the Eastern Conference Finals? Stanley Cup or bust. We didn't even make the playoffs.
Anything can happen. Think about how far we've gone down. Excuse. Now it's as long as we make the playoffs, anything can happen. It makes me sick to my stomach.
Kevin Joseph. Wow, that's a nice family there, Kevin. Congratulations. He was at the game. The Islanders fans are idiots. All they do is trash Barzell, but none of the other wastes on the ice. You don't hear anybody slamming Average Anders or Engvall or any of the other skells out there. They need to retool or rebuild as soon as possible. This team will win. Nothing. That's right, Kevin. Yeah, you want to know why it's easy to slam Barzell? Because he's the best player on the team. They don't even – the other guys is like they expect him to suck. So what do you expect? Yeah, average. As a matter of fact, his name is no longer Average Anders. It's below Average Anders.
You write 2 pops.
You can't trade bum players when the bum players have no trade clauses. Besides, you don't get anything in return trading losers. Loserillo has ruined the Islanders, ruined Barzell's prime.
He could waste Barzell's prime.
Yep. You can make it so miserable. Guess what players don't like to do? Sit on the bench.
Yep.
Or be healthy scratches every night.
Yep.
It makes them quit or strip the C off of Anders Lee. Dude, guess what? You're no better than a third. Matter of fact, you're a 4th liner. We're getting rid of Martin.
Could you imagine stripping the C off him and putting him on the 3rd line? Holy shit.
4th line. He doesn't deserve to be on the 1st line. Like I said, it's because we have no other options is why he's playing the 1st line.
Yep.
That's on the general manager.
This team blows bottom line. Anthony Rizzi. JP says here, the rumor is that Monahan is going to the Rangers at the deadline. Perhaps. Drew L says here, the Islanders are getting outpossessed more than people who are actually possessed going through an exorcism. Oh, gosh. Right. Matthew DiBernardo says here, I hated how much we played along the perimeter the last 5 minutes of the game. Waugh has a real mountain to climb. Hopefully, we don't waste his time like I really like to hire. Frankie G saying here, yep, I love Nelson as a person, but I understand he is tradable. Yep. Yeah. And then Lou Lamoriello. Wow, Grumpy. Lou Lamoriello has commented it on Twitter. This is the official page of Lou Lamoriello, Grumpy. He says, don't worry, guys. I'll get the best player, and I will trade for him. We will be winning a Stanley Cup this year, Grumpy. Lou has made a promise to us, Grumpy. And I'm feeling very confident now that the Islanders are winning the Stanley Cup because Lou Lamoriello has come to our chat on 1 a.m. on a Saturday evening. He is up sick to his stomach about the loss we just endured last night, just like me.
You know he's in bed by 8. You know he is. Come on.
Doesn't even make it to the end of the Islander games anymore.
Doesn't even make it to the start sometimes.
Well, man, let's wrap this thing up. Let's wrap this shindig up, Grumpy. What do you want to say before we wrap things up?
I want to say love and laughter to everyone who listens and even those who don't, from TJ and the Grumpy Old Man, and even Son X, who's not here today.
Yeah, Son X. But thanks so much, guys, everybody, for tuning in, watching, commenting. Love you guys. Hard loss tonight. At least we got a loser point. Fuck. I hate always saying that. But at least we got a loser point. Thanks so much, Grumpy. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll be live with you guys
tomorrow
for the TJ and the Grumpy Old Man show. That's right, at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, talking NFL playoffs. That'll be fun. And hey, we'll go ahead and make sure that Lou Lamoriello, really quickly, he said, I would hire Son X as assistant GM. Oh, fuck, Grumpy. That would be pretty good. That would be pretty good, Grump. We'd have inside control.
That's right.
But yeah, I'm sorry. I lost my track of thought. But thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in, guys. We'll be live with you tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Islanders Never Say Die podcast. Back with you again. Thanks so much, Grumpy. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Rough loss, but hey, at least we got to get some anger out. Thank you, Grumpy. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in.
My pleasure.